Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn.
Welcome in on a Tuesday on Sportstime on Sports 56 with Gabe Kuhn and Brett Stats Norsworthy, our fantastic producer every day on the ones and twos, our man Bryant Dacus. We're always live from the Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. Relax at home sale going on now at Family Leisure. Get out there, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And always, our first hour of our show is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. Our listener line, 901-360-8255. Watch us live. Message us, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Sports56WHBQ.com. It is World Series Game 1 day. It is World Series Game 1 today, and I'm very excited for it. We also have a bunch of stuff going on with this USC coaching search, the LSU coaching search. We had Monday Night Football last night. Saints win 13-10. I lose another one this week. I had a bad week as far as picks go. But Alvin Kamara, 179 scrimmage yards, was fantastic. We learned more on the
red line's open.
Did you see that the Eli and Peyton cast? Tom Brady actually did. He gave up some Bitcoin. That's what it sounds like.
He did. Good afternoon, Gabe. I watched that broadcast exclusively. I didn't watch a second of the traditional broadcast team. I haven't. Every week the Manning brothers have done their thing. That's where I've stayed. That's about the only way I would have stayed with that dog of a game last night. Bryant Dacus, you and I bet on Geno Smith and won.
It worked out for us.
Good for y'all. Good for y'all.
Gabe, you had a tough week. I don't think it was worthy of hitting up the red line, but in the history of bad decisions, you hit over by the chainsaws.
Yes. Real quick though, 3:30, we're gonna have Brian Moss.
You hit by the chainsaws.
We're gonna have Brian Moss to talk Tigers from the Tiger Sports Report. 4:00, Brent Beard on college football. 5:00, Bo Marchant on the NFL, and we'll get out at 5:45 with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But no, I was
Grizzlies in there, some World Series picks in there. We got a bunch.
Did you see this last night? Kevin White is actually playing NFL football. I had no idea. You remember Kevin White, right, out of West Virginia?
Loved Kevin White.
About his fifth year, first
played
round.
Played AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
Huge bust in the NFL.
Huge bust.
He's in the NFL right now. The Saints have gotten so thin.
I even said he might be better than Julio back then.
Whoop. Well, that was
there's no audio saved of that.
I don't think we do, unless Drew saved it back then or whoever.
Played in
was
the AutoZone Liberty
program.
Bowl for West Virginia against Texas A&M, and I mean the measurables, the metrics.
6'3", 225,
beautiful.
4'3", but he was hurt.
Then couldn't do anything.
But he was hurt. And I think that's the biggest thing. But the Saints have gotten so bad at the wide receiver position. Their best receiver right now, Marquez Callaway, and Michael Thomas has been hurt. So they have picked up Kevin White. He had 2 targets last night.
That's a cry for help. 2
targets, no receptions. I mean, I'm glad to see him still like kicking around, making money. But Kevin White being on your roster at this point, that's tough. That's tough sledding.
It is, and that game was hard to watch. But I stayed with the Manning brothers. I thought Marshawn Lynch was great.
Oh my gosh,
Sue Bird was great. The part with Tom Brady was so good. I mean, you put Peyton and Eli and Tom Brady in that format, it could knock a lot of announcers out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, traditional 3rd down and 17 to go guy could be in trouble if more people developed in that laid-back, just casual bar talk atmosphere.
But there's no real details about the game, about who's actually catching the ball and everything else. Like that's the only thing. That's the only thing I would watch the normal broadcast for. It's like this so-and-so caught the ball. He has 100 and some odd yards tonight, blah, blah, blah. But I appreciate, no question, just how much they know about offensive football. Watching Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning on the same broadcast talk about what coverage is being run behind and who's going to be open and what your pre-snap read should be, that is great.
I thought the best part of it, my favorite part, was when they were talking about the terminology for Tom Brady going from the Patriots to the Buccaneers, and Peyton had to do the same thing, going from the Colts to the Broncos as a veteran, established player. and Brady was talking about all the terminology and the X and the Y and the Z and all this, and then he said but in the end it comes down to running a dig, running an out.
Mm-hmm. And he also,
you can call it anything you want to, but that's what it comes down to.
Yes, and those guys, I mean, all three of them did similar. Like, they were a similar style of player, and Tom Brady's still doing it unbelievably. Similar style of player where they're pocket passers, and Brady was talking about just how
their speed.
having presence in the pocket, and he was saying at times he sees a lot of guys around the league move way too late. You let the rush get there, then you try to move up in the pocket and make those moves. He was saying that being able to preempt those moves and know when they're about to happen is the key to the pocket presence in the NFL. And I thought that
those
was
three,
interesting.
Those three would not win a relay race against many trio of relay racers.
No.
But it is fun. But I still say that about the traditional announcer. I want my traditional broadcast, but I like to have that as something different to go to. I want to keep Joe Buck and Dick Stockton and Jim Nance and the voice Al Michaels and the voices of the game, but I like that as a diversion. And it's not cutting. I mean, it's getting good ratings, but it's not cutting into Monday Night Football.
No, and the guest lists have been fantastic. Last night, Sue Bird, Marshawn Lynch, Tom Brady, and who is Drew Brees to end the game. I can't think of a better.
See, I was partly cloudy during Drew Brees,
but
by that point I was comatose.
I can't believe though that they're getting. Well, actually, I can believe it. They know a lot of people, but to get that type of guest list week in, week out, unbelievable. Also, did you see what Brady said about Bitcoin? The 600 TD ball fan was gifted one Bitcoin, which is up to 62,000, I believe, today.
Nice.
So,
everybody knows the guy got ripped off Sunday afternoon with the
Mike Evans, all the jersey and the signing and the ball and everything, the cleats. But did you see what some of the people are estimating that ball to be costing?
Well, Darren Ravel tweeted it's worth $500,000.
Yeah,
isn't it?
$500,000. So he did kind of get fleeced in the end of it.
Well, if the Bitcoin thing does its thing and you can really actually cash that in.
Well, yeah, you can't. I don't know how you cash it in exactly. I think you just sort
of. Where's the Bitcoin?
Isn't Bitcoin one of those long distance things where you just sort of keep it and you don't really cash out on it until. I don't know if you sell it.
Not really like a savings bond. It was a long distance thing, but you could really cash that in at some point.
I'm lost on Bitcoin. I'm still confused by the cryptocurrency and everything else. But
man, I'm lost on my debit card. What do you mean on Bitcoin?
So I have to bring this clip up because Marshawn Lynch last night was the first guest, and obviously he's
Be careful with the clip here.
Oh, it's not that clip. It's not that clip.
Got you.
And by the way, where's the dump button guy? But then somebody did make a good point. If they have a dump button ready, I don't even know if I want to watch it with Marshawn Lynch on there. I don't need a dump button for Marshawn.
I thought he was great.
But this is what he had to say when he came on with Peyton and Eli.
I was watching your interview with Peyton on his Peyton Places, and I learned that before games, you had a pregame ritual where you do a shot and a half of Hennessy before the game. Did you do anything to get warmed up tonight?
Well, see, because I ain't playing, so I had a 3-shot minimum today. So I'm feeling real good, and so I took one for me. I took one for Big Bruh, and I got one for Little Bruh. So I made sure I.
Perfect. Honored. I'm honored.
Yeah.
Thank you for that tribute. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, I was looking out.
Marshawn has always been a character, man. He's been great.
You could put him in a role like that on games, and I think people would watch.
I think it would be a segment on the pregame show, more or less.
Uh-huh. A lot of people in this weekend, I didn't see the particular moment, but and I kind of understand his whine. I'm one of the ones I'm saying whenever he decides to go, that's his decision. Nobody should force him out. I'm talking about Lee Corso on College Game Day, 86 years young. Mm-hmm. And I understand that he had a moment or two that was kind of rough on Saturday. I'm going to defend him for this reason. First of all, when they were on at 8 o'clock Central Time in Memphis, Tennessee on Saturday, and in the Central Time Zone on Saturday, that was 6 o'clock in Los Angeles for him on the campus of UCLA at Westwood. That means minimum minimum he had a 3:30 wake up call.
Right.
Hair, makeup, dress, get ready, some semblance of legitimate prep. That would be hard on me at 59, getting up at that hour of the night, and it's tough on him. I jokingly said Ed Orgeron a few weeks ago. Here's who I think would be great in that role. There's a couple people I think would be great. I mentioned Ed Orgeron. I've said Houston Nutt through the years I thought would be really good in that from a former coach, more coaching chops than Lee Corso ever had. And as a fun gad-about guy, I mean, he'd be a clown. He'd have a good time with it. Mm-hmm. But here's one. If you could ever get him out of the NFL setting, Randy Moss.
Randy Moss. Yes, I from a personality standpoint,
he would dominate.
Don't people know him more as an NFL guy though?
Well,
right
they
now,
do.
And you did mention that.
He had the tough time at FSU and Notre Dame before eventually having a third place in the Heisman career at Marshall. He was third that night with Charles Woodson 1, Peyton 2, Randy Moss 3. Or was he fourth? Was Ryan Lee third?
I think he does a good job on.
He was third or fourth.
On Monday Night Countdown and some of the ESPN's NFL coverage. I think he does a pretty good job in that role.
I think he's great and fun. Now, back to the offer the person did or didn't get and did or didn't accept. I'm seeing some say it wasn't his ball, that it was the equivalent of finding somebody's wallet, and that's not your cash.
Well, Mike Evans gave it to him.
That's my retort back to him is no. If somebody walked up and gave me their wallet and said yours, well, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, he
it's his ball at that point.
He didn't go to the bathroom and there's the NFL football in the men's lavatory at Raymond James Stadium. Mike Evans handed him the ball.
I mean, he haggled what he could out of it. But $500K.
Poor job. Horrible negotiator.
You know what?
He better hope Bitcoin goes up and he can cash in.
Let's think about this. With everything all said and done, probably got $75,000 worth of freebies. That's not the worst thing in the world.
And the tax man's going to be there, but he can handle that, I think.
Right.
Tax man always knocketh.
Did you see John Moran on NBA Today?
I didn't see it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, so he was on there with Malika Andrews, and they just sort of had a conversation about some of his missed dunks and everything else. But it is the
she's
debate.
Great in that role.
She's fantastic.
She's fantastic.
She's 26 years old.
So comfortable. Just so comfortable in the knowledge she has of her subject matter and the ease in which she handles it.
She's
not that much older than Ja.
In Memphis, I mean, never had anyone in that type of public light and on ESPN on a Tuesday morning talking about the plays that they've made.
We have a certifiable superstar. We do.
There's no question. And
I'm not going to harp on it, but Saturday night should be full house with a lot of 12 jerseys.
Right, we had some texts yesterday when we talked about that, about the vaccination mandate and or a negative test. And I'll tell you this right now. I went to the opening game. It takes 3 seconds to show them your card or your test, and you're through.
You can even show old-fashioned cards.
And I promise you, it will take no stress. You'll just get there, show them, you're through. It's barely even a security checkpoint as far as time is concerned.
You're a lot longer at TSA than you are
at to get through the metal detectors at the Grizzlies game takes longer.
Magnetometers.
Yeah, it takes longer. So
I think Saturday should be a robust crowd. It's time. It's time for Ja Mania.
I know you've been seeing the Mike Conley, Ja Morant saga on social media pop back up over the past couple weeks too, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Is this even a debate anymore? Is this even? Should this even be?
Not to me.
Yeah, it can't be a conversation anymore. And yes, Mike Conley, as far as the longevity goes, I mean, he was a fantastic player for years, but he was never near as talented or near as productive over this short span of time as Ja Morant has been. So
not even close. Now, was a little bit younger in those at this time frame. I mean, he played the 1 year at Indiana. At Ohio State, but No, I don't think it's close. Please, let's at some point let's go back to Mike Tomlin and his statement today. It was how you do it, but I do have a question about it.
About it?
Yeah. I mean, why did he bring in Andy Reid and Sean Payton? Was that germane to anything?
No, I think
if a former player,
but it's
a Heisman Trophy winner, had named them as being involved, they would have the media had to ask him about it, didn't they?
Yeah, when we bring
blame the media, damn media.
When we bring on Bo Marchant at 5, I want to play this clip, get his response. But I mean, I
bet you Bo was on the call
with Mike Tomlin. It's him bringing up those other coaches, legendary coaches. Really, honestly, I think it was a pride thing. Because he feels like he's on that level and they don't have to deal with that type of questioning. But at the same time,
I think they would be if they were named.
Yes, this is Carson Palmer's issue. Carson Palmer's the one who named Mike Tomlin as a USC realistic candidate. And in my not top story, I'll talk about the other quote-unquote realistic candidates.
We'll get to them.
But this is Carson Palmer's issue. Carson Palmer's the one who named Mike Tomlin.
Right. And I love Mike Tomlin. Phil Stukenborg said, nobody could get to the Tigers football building at the time before Mike Tomlin or stay after him. Heard the same thing about him in his young coaching career at Arkansas State. And I just think he's a prince of a coach and one of the true NFL lifers, going to stroll into Canton someday. Mm-hmm. And I hope he adds another Super Bowl to go with it. Tonight it's baseball. Baseball's Fall Classic, the World Series, it's back. And to celebrate, FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking all customers up with a risk-free same-game parlay bet. Place a same-game parlay bet on Game 1 of the World Series, and if you don't win, you'll get a refund in site credit. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel. Build that parlay any way you'd like by combining your favorite bets into one wager for a big, whopping payday. You can choose the bet types like the spread, anytime home run hitter, total runs, strikeouts, so much more. It's easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to find your bet. Live betting is so much fun. It's easy to place your bet, and when you win, FanDuel, 2 hours. You get your winnings back in as little as 2 hours. Every day, odds boosts and some big super boosts every weekend around the biggest local and national matchups across sports. New to FanDuel Sportsbook, make the most out of October baseball and download the FanDuel Sportsbook app using promo code CASH to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in town. It's at 2600 Ridgeway, and it's online at lexusofmemphis.com. 901-362-8833. Great offers on all 2021 models, and the 2022s are arriving. Always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis today at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2021 flagship LS500 or one of those mean 2022s, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Easy one here. World Series Game 1 tonight. Morton versus Valdez. 7:09. Braves at Astros. And this is a very, very interesting one to me. Braves come in with a very hot lineup. Astros come in with just a fantastic lineup. They're always hot. They never stop swinging the sticks. That's just how it goes. Astros on their home field, like I mentioned. The managers tonight. We talk about this new age of baseball, moving to the analytics, all these young guys getting hired, and we'll talk about the Cardinals hire. They hired Oliver Marmol yesterday. We will discuss that at the end of hour 2. But the combined age of Brian Snitker and Dusty Baker, 138 years old. And we talk about this.
That's a lot of baseball. That's a lot of fungo bats.
Talk about this new age of baseball, and both the managers of the World Series contending teams are some of the oldest in the entire MLB.
How many grounders you think they've hit in their life?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, coming to you.
Minimum 2,000? What do you think?
Yeah.
Minimum 2,000. But
look alive.
And for the Braves, I remember last year, or the last couple years, No more killing of Alex Anthopoulos. No more, because those those trade deadline moves he made this year, getting Eddie Rosario's leading off and hitting about 400. I think he's up around 500 in the playoffs. Jock Peterson, who's come up massive for you in the playoffs. Adam Duvall, all to replace Ronald Acuna, who tore his ACL on a freak play. So no more killing Alex Anthopoulos. He's done a great job. But, and I do have Rosario's stats right here. Eddie Rosario, 474, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, 524 on base percentage, 789 slugging.
He could go up there with a croquet mallet right now.
He's been unbelievable.
I saw him in early June with Cleveland in St. Louis.
Yeah.
When Cleveland was there, and I would have never believed he would be this year's Mr. October, but he is. That's my top story. There are a couple things in sports. The Masters, the Rose Bowl, and the World Series. When I just hear those, I sit up. I perk up. I love them. That's probably my 3 favorite in that order. Game 1 tonight in Houston, it'll be rocking. 3 out of 5 World Series for Houston over the last 5 years. They've appeared in 3 out of the last 5. You don't do that just by banging trash cans.
Nope.
Yeah, I know they copped to Edge, but I don't think they were alone. But you're not this good just by cheating. Dusty Baker's at 72 years of age, back in the World Series as the manager for the first time since the 2002 World Series. If you remember, that's the one that Barry Bonds almost trucked Dusty Baker's son. It was the little bat boy that was out there and almost got bound over by Atlanta. First World Series of the 21st century. If Atlanta wins the World Series, they would be the 15th different team in the 21st century to win a World Series. That's half of baseball. I love the people say, no need to even watch baseball. I can tell you on spring training who's going to win it. 15 out of 30, that's 50%. And how about this?
Better than a lot of other leagues.
Since the Yankees, the big dominant force of the sport, since they last won it in 2009, if the Braves win, it'll be the 10th different team to win it just since then. That's a third of the sport. People say at baseball the books are cooked and everybody knows who's going to be at the end. That's people that hate baseball, that aren't watching tonight. Don't listen to them about baseball. They know not what they speak of.
And you're 100% correct. At 7:09 first pitch, Framber Valdez versus Charlie Morton. We'll make our World Series picks at 4:45.
Not top story of the day.
And Brett, it's this USC coaching search. Some of the names that have surfaced. Mike Tomlin, he's not happy about being named at all. I don't think he had to make an example out of everybody in that room this morning, but he did. He said, never say never, but absolutely never. I have the best job, one of the best jobs in pro sports across the
Pittsburgh
world.
Steelers.
It's very true. Another name that came up, Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, played there a million years ago.
I'm sorry. What are we reporting at this point? And Brett McMurphy, I think, is a good reporter a lot of the time.
Oh, I do too.
But Jeff Fisher is not getting the job at USC. I'm sorry.
No.
We're not going to even fake like he's going to get this job. But on the
I don't
same
know that
day,
he could pass the recruiting manual test you have to pass.
And also, I watched a lot of Jeff Fisher football, Brett. I watched him coach the Rams, the St. Louis Rams. That was some of the most miserable football I've ever watched. Offensively, they couldn't move the ball. They were under center. They tried to control the clock because he likes to have a good defense out there, and the defense wasn't overly good. So I've seen Jeff Fisher football. I don't know how that works on the West Coast at USC with all the offensive talent they've recruited, but it was reported yesterday. Just thought I'd mention that. And on the same day, though, James Franklin hires CAA, and we know what CAA is, Jimmy Sexton. So Franklin's 65-30 at Penn State, Big Ten championship, 3 AP top 10 finishes since he's been there. And he just hired Jimmy Sexton. He's either going to head out to USC or he is leveraging something serious to get more money from Penn State.
Well, he hired the best. My not top story, the Arizona Cardinals, 7-0 with 10 regular season games left and potentially 3 in the playoffs. That would make it 20-0. They would surpass the 72 Dolphins. They're not going to do all that. But the last time the Cardinals started 7-0, 1974, they lost Game 8 to Dallas, and then they lost Game 9 to Minnesota. Fran Tarkenton and the Vikings. Thursday night football will be as good as it's ever been this Thursday night. 7-0 Big Red against 6-1 Green Bay Packers.
And there is some interesting issues with that. DC Joe Barry for the Packers tested positive for COVID-19. He will not be on the sideline. I don't know if that has to do with him not being vaccinated or what have you. And also Devontae Adams is on the COVID-19 reserve list. He can make it back before then, but again, when it comes to COVID-19 and positive tests, I would not hold your breath and hope that he's going to return. But it is going to be fantastic on Thursday night. Packers at Cardinals. Aaron Rodgers has been fantastic, and we know that Cardinals team has been fantastic. But that is our top and our not top story of the day. Again, the rundown. Here on the other side, we're going to bring in Brian Moss, talk some Tigers, some Memphis football, some recruiting. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard talking college football. He will join us then. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchand talking NFL. 5:45, we'll wrap up the show with Taco Bell Crunch Time. On the other side, we'll have Brian Moss.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
It's finally fall, and that means it's time for the baseball playoffs and the beginning of the Grizzlies season. And there's no better place to enjoy those games than at Sweetgrass Next Door in the heart of Cooper Young. Along with the longtime favorite menu items like shrimp and grits and the beef carpaccio, there are lots of new menu items created by real chefs for you to enjoy. And you'll really enjoy the Tall Boys 6-packs for just $15. If you love baseball and the Grizzlies and great food and great drink prices, you can't beat Sweetgrass Next Door, Memphis's great neighborhood bar in the heart of Cooper Young.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Hey, 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 Mid-South. It's time to get your Mitsu on at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike. Want great mileage at a great price? How about 43 MPG in your new 2021 Mitsubishi Mirage, $179 per month. Get more standard equipment than Ford Escape or Mazda CX-5 in your 2022 Eclipse Cross, $279 per month. Need My Pilot Assist? We Gossett in new 2022 Outlander at $319 a month. And get our stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So hurry to Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett and Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage Eclipse, 84 months at 3.9% APR. Mirage MH010713, MSRP 17055, 3100 down. Eclipse NZ09209, MSRP 26470, 5150 down. Outlander NZ023516, MSRP 29445, 84 months at 4.9, 4500 down. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/21. Dealer stock only.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Rolling along, first hour of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Autos on listener line, 901-360-8255. Also watch us live, message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56WHBQ.com. But let's go ahead and bring in our friend Brian Moss from the Tiger Sports Report. You can follow him on Twitter at RivalsBMoss. Brian, how are you, man?
Doing pretty good. How about you guys?
We cannot complain.
Doing great, Brian.
Thank
you for your time today. Brian, I'm going to hit you with this. Best Tiger win so far this year, worst Tiger loss so far this year.
Ooh. Oh man, best Tiger win. I'd have to say the Mississippi State game, only because it's an SEC opponent. Though I think you can make an argument for the Arkansas State game, since it was so high scoring and they had to overcome a little bit. But to me, the worst loss. Oh man, that's so hard to choose from.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, the three right in the middle. To me, the UCF game I don't consider that the worst loss. Only because it's UCF, it's at the bounce house, and anytime Memphis plays at the bounce house, something happens. But I'd have to probably say the UTSA game.
Yeah,
I'm there.
Only because
with you.
It's a quote unquote lower team.
And it started this.
Yes.
Yeah, and it started everything. But I will say, it's becoming a trend. But you can't. The Tigers have been decimated by injuries, and I've talked to a lot of Tiger fans that are like, this season is just god awful. Blah blah blah. Silverfield, Coach Mack, all this and that. But the reality is, Coach Silverfield will be the first one to say injuries is not an excuse. But I'm quick to say, but it's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
They are decimated. You're down to your fourth string quarterback. Okay,
right.
I mean, what other team in the country is down to their fourth string quarterback? Just take a look at some of the injuries that have happened. Drake Clark has been injured. Kylan Watkins was injured earlier. Wide receiver Shamar Nash hasn't even seen the field so far this year. Calvin Austin has been playing injured. If you watch the games, he's limping around. Austin Myers, starting offensive lineman, he's gone for the season. Greg Emerson hasn't even seen the field because he was medically disqualified even before the season began. John Cartwright, Morris Joseph, both on the
not even to mention Grant Gunnell before the season even started.
Yes. Sanchez Blake, defensive backs out for the year. David Kemp. They are decimated by injuries. And when you take a look at it, I believe, if I'm not, I'd have to double check my math, but I think 12 true freshmen have played so far this year. And I think 23, 24 freshmen total, as far as like redshirt freshmen.
Brian, I'd make the case in a strong defense of the Tigers, and this is not an excuse. I have no reason to make this excuse. I'm trying to be honest. I would say the Tigers are fortunate to be 4-4.
Yes, you could definitely say that because take a look at the stats. Scoring up, they're scoring more this year than they did last year, giving all the injuries. Defensively, you're giving up a little bit more as well, but it's a give and take. The thing that hurts the most besides the injuries is them shooting themselves in the foot, turnover margin. You take those three losses before the UCF loss. The biggest loss was Tulsa, and that was only by 6 points. UTSA was 3 points, Temple was 3 points. It's shooting yourselves in the foot and not finishing games. The second half is doomed to Memphis, in 3 of the 4 losses this year.
Yeah, and you talk about the injuries as well, and the big one we're watching right this second is Seth Hennigan. Do you have any update? Do you know anything about what's going on? It has been said it's day to day. Luckily, there's an open week, but do you have any update on that?
No, the only update is what we get from the coaching staff, and Silverfield said yesterday. It's day to day. I have a hunch he's going to be fine. I don't think it's as serious, as Gunnell's injury was. I think he's being overly cautious because of Grant Gunnell. He doesn't want to risk any further injury. So I do see him. I think we'll see Seth Hennigan for the SMU game, and let's face it, Memphis is going to need him because you're sitting at 4-4 and there's 4 games left.
Yep.
2 of those is going to be hard. SMU is undefeated and at Houston. So you're really looking at the East Carolina game and that Tulane game as your 2 wins. And that they're not even they're not a given wins anymore because East Carolina is playing people tough this year, despite their record.
Brian, the most pointed criticism that I will give is how did you, to the coaching staff, to Coach Silverfield, because he's in charge of it all, how did you let special teams get like this?
Yeah, it's interesting, and the guy that's normally reliable. He had Calvin Austin obviously made that big blunder, but it just seems like this year, it seems like it seems like a fluke of a year with all the injuries, the mistakes that have. This is not a normal Memphis team. Memphis doesn't normally shoot themselves in the foot like this. Memphis does not normally have trouble with special teams or even kickers. Look at the line of kickers that Memphis had recently.
Right.
So this is just one of those weird years. I expected this type of year to happen last year. Because COVID. Not
first
normal,
year,
not a practice. Yeah, first year. You're not. It's not a normal practice. So
Brady held that thing together, though.
Yeah, he did. So I'm just wondering if all these injuries, if it's because you didn't have a normal year, you kind of like rushed training. Kids are training differently than they were in previous years, different times. So it's not a normal, I guess off season. And I don't know, maybe some kids are trying to rush things or do things differently. But yeah, it's definitely a fluke of a year.
And it's something. Obviously, it's the turnover margin, a lot of giveaways, but not a lot of takeaways. And I don't know if that's being aggressive on defense, or not being aggressive on defense, that's sort of leading to that. But I just find it interesting at this point in the season. Tyrese Lindsey, when he got that interception, and I don't know if a lot of people know this statistic, that was their second interception of the year. That's it. That's it. Through 8 games, that was their second interception. That's just not enough when you're talking about a full season worth of work.
No, it's something's got to change. I understand the injuries. I definitely understand you're playing a lot of young ones, but it's up to me. It's up to the coaching staff now to rise to the challenge and just challenge these kids. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that they're not, but I mean, you definitely have to do something different because if what you're doing is not working, you got to try to find something different.
What do you think about as far as defensively? And obviously, I think in the Temple game for sure there was sort of the dink and dunk attitude. They let DeJuan Mathis set the single game completion record at Temple with 35 that game. What do you think? Does Mike McIntyre need to dial up more aggressive blitzes? Do you think that could possibly be an answer for some of the ills of this defense so far this year?
I think either being more aggressive or change it up a little bit. I know they love the 3 down linemen, but maybe change it up a little bit instead of a 3-3-5, maybe a 4-2 or 4-2. Yeah, but change. You got to change it. Give the offense a different look. I think defensively, Memphis has been too predictable this year, and maybe it's because you have all these young ones playing because of injuries to the guys that's been around. But that's where as a coaching staff, Silverfield, you say, hey, what we're doing is not working. Let's change it just a little bit. Maybe not drastically change everything, but bring someone down. Don't give the wide receivers that 10-yard cushion like every single play. It seems like they're out open all the time. Bring it in a little bit. Yeah, definitely be more aggressive, but I would most definitely change it up a little bit. Be more multiple. Get that 4th down lineman in there.
Brian, Seth Hennigan before the injury was better than advertised. He was better than we could have imagined. If he comes back and he finishes the rest of the year, he goes into next year starting quarterback, no qualifications around it. He's the guy for the next 3 years, isn't he?
Well, it's going to be interesting because we really don't know what Grant Gunnell can do. So it would be an awesome quarter if he stays. A lot of kids these days, if they lose the starting quarterback job, that they transfer out. But he hasn't transferred out. He's here. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. To me, it's going to be hard to beat Hennigan out because he's going to learn through these mistakes. I mean, the first 3 games, he did not look like a freshman. Then all of a sudden, the next 3 games, he looks like a freshman. So, but once he works through everything out, I know my staff. We've talked about it. I mean, he could break all the records.
Right.
The way he's going. So it would be hard for him to lose that job. But if Gunnell, we don't know what Gunnell can do. So it's going to be interesting when he comes back. That quarterback battle.
And obviously it adds depth regardless of the situation, no matter who's starting. And I think right now everybody would want to see a lot of depth in that room, talking with Brian Moss at Rivals B Moss on Twitter. Now, going into next season, when you talk about returning talent and everything else, I look at what's happening this year. You have 4 games left. You're at 4-4. Seth Hennigan should be back. But there are losable games on that schedule. Let's say they finish 6-6, 5-7, God forbid, worst case scenario, 4-8. How much staff turnover do you expect there to be if that is the end result?
I would expect some. What Memphis, it would be great if they could finish 6-6, so that way they get that extra practice time, for the bowl game. Yep. That would really help these young ones out. But let's just say that doesn't happen. Silverfield really has to look inward and see, what needs to change. And I never advocate calling for someone's head,
right?
But you have to take a look at the units that have not lived up to their expectation. The offensive line. I understand injuries, but the offensive line hasn't been the same, since Silverfield has become a head coach. So, there's definitely units and coaches that will have to, take a hard look to see if a change needs to happen.
And, Brian, it really just is sort of with college football nowadays, when you take steps back, a lot of times when you look at the higher-ups, they tell you have to make some type of change. You have to make some decision. There's accountability for somebody.
Yes.
It may not be you as the head coach, but there's got to be accountability somewhere. But he is Brian Moss from the Tiger Sports Report, covering Memphis football and Memphis recruiting. Brian, we appreciate you for joining us, man. We'll do it again.
Fun. Thank you, Brian.
No problem. You guys have a great day.
Appreciate it, Brian. Brian Moss. Follow him on Twitter at Rivals B Moss. Brett, that question that you just asked is
I saw you perk up.
It is one of my. I was going to ask, if you didn't get to it, I was going to ask Brian myself. Grant Gunnell back in the fold next year. Are we looking
Carter.
at? Devin Carter in the fold. Are you looking at a legitimate quarterback controversy, even though we've seen Seth Hennigan perform at such a high level?
Well, there's so much good. It's a lot better to have that problem of a seasoned quarterback that shows that he can do it, but it freezes recruiting.
Yes, it does, to a certain extent. You already have Tevin Carter very committed, it seems, at this point. But, yes, it does. If you have that many good, talented guys on the roster, it usually does. But then with today's era, you're going to have likely somebody transfer out. That's just usually how it works. Obviously, you don't hope that. You don't. And somehow, I don't know how.
You got to factor for it, though, don't you?
You know who does it better than anybody, though, is Nick Saban. I don't know how he keeps those quarterback rooms the way he does.
Well, I don't know how he juggles the change in assistants and at the same time the changing quarterbacks. But that's the gold standard. That's
right.
The top.
Of course, that is. But we will see.
He's got them calling him. Gardner Minshew wanted to go there in GA.
Yeah, we will see how it works out though next year. If Grant Gunnell has not hopped in the transfer portal yet, that tells you he still thinks he can compete to be the starter.
But he's got to look around.
Of course. But the fact that he has not made that move yet tells me that the staff still is going to give him a chance, generally speaking.
Best man wins.
Yep, and that is how it works.
That's a good problem.
Yes, it absolutely is. When we come back, Grizzlies have another back-to-back starting tomorrow. We'll discuss that and more around the Grizzlies. John Morant was on NBA Today. We'll discuss that and more when we come back on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Woloshin, and I've moved. Now you can catch me with all my friends from 10 to 11. We'll go all over the country to bring you whatever is happening that day. Wallow and Friends from 10 to 11 on Sports 56 and 98.5.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. School's back in. Are the kids going to be running out of hot water every morning? Or worse, are you going to be out of hot water by the time they leave? It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. And since it only heats the water you use, you'll be saving money on your gas bill every month. At Conway Services, we're making now the perfect time to replace that old energy-guzzling tanked water heater with 12 months to pay, interest-free. or I'll give you $250 for that old tank water heater. See why I say now's the perfect time? And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
I got him on the line, Jeff Allen, the king of Happy at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Hey folks, need a new ride that gets 41 MPG? 2021 Kia Forte, $249 a month. 2021 Kia Rio S hatchback, 41 MPG, only $258 a month. Plus a 2022 turbocharged Kia Soul, ready for that road trip at $267 a month.
Plus, you'll always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program. Remember, Forte $249, Rio $258, Soul $267. And don't sell your trade till you check with us.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 72 months at 2.9%, $29.99 down payment. Forte, ME 409-215, MSRP 19,335. Rio, ME 427,894, MSRP 19,755. Soul, N 7808-276, MSRP 20,615. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Must finance through Kia on low APR. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/21. Dealer stock only.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Are you excited about being a new grandmother?
Of course I am. A little intimidated, too.
Why?
Taking care of a baby today is so different than when I had you.
But, Mom, you did great with me.
Thanks, son. But I put you on your stomach to sleep.
Right. But now we know that babies should always be placed on their backs to sleep, for naps and at night, to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
You also slept with blankets and toys in your crib.
True, but now we know to keep everything out of the crib except for my sweet baby girl. No blankets, pillows, or other soft or loose items.
Daddy's going to teach Nana all the ways to keep you safe while you sleep. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
For more tips on safe sleep for babies, visit safetosleep.nicchd.nih.gov. That's safetosleep.nicchd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Get it? Text a message, I don't know the number. Flexing on these every bone and muscle.
No Grizzlies tonight. Tonight we have our Tuesday night TNT slate. 76ers at Knicks. And then the late game will be Nuggets at Jazz. But the Grizzlies get in action on their second back-to-back on this nasty, tough road trip. Tomorrow at 9 p.m., they will take on the Blazers. And then Thursday, they take on the Warriors. Both games will be a 9 p.m. start because it is the West Coast. I'll ask you this, Brett. I just want to sort of open it up this way. Have the Grizzlies already reached expectations based on what we thought going into this road trip?
Oh, I think so. I think exceptional start. Even if it really cratered in these next two, okay, fine. And get home. You got for one thing, you got it over with, and you got literally 77 games to make it up.
Right.
If it bottoms out,
and
if you split either one of these, it is gold star opening road trip.
2-2.
Maybe the gold star road trip of the year.
2-2 on against teams that are likely top 6 seeds, that are non-play-in seeds in the Western Conference. I mean, and on the road, on the West Coast, that is impressive. And I said 0-4, Brett, was not out of the question going in. And they've already got the win against the Clippers. They played very close against the Lakers. John Morant's been fantastic. So I would say expectations are reached, if not already surpassed. Now, they could lay 2 eggs and look really bad these next 2 games. I'm not counting that out.
Come home and fix it.
But again, It is a road trip. It's probably your toughest road trip of the year, and I think they have handled it very well, especially for a young team.
Well, you had the back-to-back at Staples, and you know who you're going to see there. Saw them, Paul George, LeBron, AD, the whole company, and then back-to-back nights against Damian Lillard and Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. Get you some of that.
That's tough stuff.
And then Saturday night against a top-flight Eastern opponent in Miami.
Yes, and the Eastern Conference is interesting right this second.
That's a word for it.
Miami is solid, I'd say, 2-1, but the Bulls off to a 4-0 start for the first time in 25 years since 96-97. You know how 96-97 ended, right? That was
pretty good.
That was an NBA championship. They won the first 12 games that year, I believe, right? That was their
very
longest.
Different NBA then, but
yes.
they were that good. Very different NBA. The negative side of the different NBA then was how you played it, the road schedule. There was no time management. That's when they were flying all hours of the night.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. And gosh, I really look back at some of the players that used to play in the NBA. I wish they would have load managed a little bit. I know that's probably for some of our older listeners, that's probably blasphemous to hear. But think about if Larry Bird would have been able to sit down a couple games here and there. His back
wouldn't have been. What about a guy like Kareem with those knees and that size and his back, and he still played 75-plus every year?
Larry Bird, by the end of his career, had to, at timeout, or not at timeouts, when he was out of the game, had to lay on his stomach and put a heat pack on his back just to get through the games.
His back was wrecked. A guy like Bill Walton.
Right.
With his feet, ankle, lower extremity issues, but they don't treat him like that now, and I think this is for the best. I think.
Are you okay?
I hate it when they sit out when we don't get the stars.
So to the Bulls though, 4-0, and I think they're right now.
Speak up, Bryant. Speak up. Take your bow.
You know what? You can get in on this conversation too. Are we buying? Or are we selling it right now? Because two wins against the Pistons without Cade Cunningham, a win against the Pelicans, a win against the Raptors, but they are 4-0 for the first time in a long, long time.
I'm going to have to say bye.
Well, I know you're buying. They're your two seed out.
You're not walking out on us, are you?
No, BUI. Big BUI.
I was going to say, they're your 2 seed out of the East. You better be buying. You're buying the entire year.
Y'all are shocked. I was expecting this.
And you know what? You're big on Charlotte.
I was, yeah.
If I would have looked at the schedule, I may have agreed with you through the first month of the season. Because those first 4 games, their first month's relatively easy.
It's a marathon.
That was incumbent on us. Bryant did look at the schedule.
Yeah, that's very true. But the Bulls do have talent. Bulls have a bunch of talent. I don't know how much it fits together long run, but
I don't either. It's a lot of misfit toys.
I've said this a lot, though. I'm just glad to see the Gar-Pax thing over with. They bring in new front office members, and they're actually trying. They have players that can actually win ball games, which before it seemed like they didn't care. I mean, truthfully.
Well, post Derrick Rose, they were really a mess. They really didn't have a franchise identity, and that derailed them because that hometown star was going to be the next great chapter. After the greatest chapter, the Michael Jordan Last Dance and all that he did.
Yes, and hopefully they can recreate that at some point.
Hard to get that again.
I know we're going to revisit the NBA conversation later here in the show. Is Ben Simmons ever going to show up and play?
I don't think he will. And now I understand the mental issue that goes with it. But I think what is really hitting Ben Simmons for the first time in his life is he may be recognizing I'm not that good. And that would be a crusher when you've sailed along from your entire existence, basketball existence, as one of the blessed ones to now realize, other than defense and rebounding, I don't do a lot. And he passes well, but no shooting, no offensive game.
Well.
Gabe, I'm serious. I think he needs to. I think he needs to decide what hand is he.
This is a very good conversation because it does not look like the left is for him. And he goes up with his right.
Like some guys that try to pinch hit in baseball. I want to tell you something.
And he's got
I
a good
like the
right
effort,
hand.
but you're not a left-handed batter.
He's got a good right hand at the rim too.
He does.
I mean, it looks.
Now,
natural.
I know I'm not the first to come up with that.
Right.
But I think he needs to decide what's the dominant go-to hand.
But for him, I know it really is. I don't know if he thinks that he's a bad player in any stretch of the imagination. I think he knows how talented he is.
That's got to destroy you.
But he's not getting coddled anymore. They're telling it how it is.
And that's the first time in his life that hadn't happened. That's not much fun.
People are being honest with him. You have to work on things.
When you're entitled, you don't like hearing no.
Yes, but he's finally hearing from higher-ups in his organization, and they're telling it to the public, telling it to the media.
They crushed him.
That he has to work on things. And he is part of the reason we did not get through the Eastern Conference last year. And that's got to crush him because he has been fed all of his life that he was the best in the room. Even when he got to the NBA, first overall pick, the whole 9 yards was going to change the franchise. And they babied him, and now not so much. But we will revisit the NBA talk after we talk with our friend on the other side, Brent Beard, on some college football. We'll be right back on Sports 56 98.5.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
The Relax at Home sale's going on now at Family Leisure. Enjoy a game of pool. How about shuffleboard with friends and family? Relieving aching muscles with full body massage chairs. They're the coolest. Chill out and watch a movie. Or the big game in style with the new theater seating. Also on sale, we got spas and saunas and patio furniture. It's the Family Leisure Relax at Home sale. Going on now, I-40 and Winton Road, Family Leisure. For family and fun, come together.
I'm with John Virgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Brett, things in the restaurant are fine, but like all restaurateurs will tell you, things are still not back to normal. Supply chains are interrupted. 1 week we can't find charcoal. Another week we're short on ribs. Another week they can't find the plastic bottles to fill our sauce jars with. I've watched in awe as our fellow Memphis restaurateurs have worked their way through these past months.
John, always new and exciting things at the Rendezvous.
People know we have Greek salad, vegetarian red beans and rice, and vegetarian nachos. But now we have desserts. Miss Barbara of O Taste and See has individually wrapped some wonderful desserts. We have key lime pie, chess pie, chocolate chess pie, and pecan pie. Not pecan pie, pecan pie. We also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything! A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that PIN, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Has your child swallowed your medicine, your laundry detergent, your nail polish remover? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you inhaled paint thinner, glue, pesticides? Call the Poison Helpline. Have a question about a dose, a fume, something your kid just drank? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
In and rolling, hour number 2 on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Brian Dacus producing the program. Good first hour. Thank you for joining the text line. Continue to at the AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Have a text from Raider Corey. I try to be positive regarding my teams, but I'm starting to get a little worried about the Tiger football team. Something is not right. I hope the honeymoon exciting phase is over for Silverfield. I mean, there's no question.
I think that's fair.
4-4?
I think that's fair from Raider Corey. And we all have that trepidation. Nobody wants to pile on. I don't think anybody's doing that, fan or media or anyone like that. It's a 4-4 that could be different. It could be worse. It could be better. Mm-hmm. In the end, it kind of all shakes out probably about where it should be.
Yes, and then you knew there was going to be some growing pains. I don't think anyone foresaw this amount of growing pains because I think for the most part, from the quarterback position to the O-line to the special teams, you've sort of become used to the little things being done right, and they just haven't been this year. The turnovers have been mounting up. Special teams hadn't been all that great, but it's something down the stretch of this season they can hopefully right.
The Tigers aren't alone in this year looking a little cumbersome for teams that had made it look pretty easy. I'll go to higher-end teams. Let's go to Oklahoma and Alabama. Yeah, they're one loss for Alabama, undefeated for Oklahoma. It hadn't been easy, and at times it hadn't been pretty.
Yes, last week in Lawrence, Oklahoma absolutely showed it.
When
and Alabama already have a loss on the schedule. The last 2 weeks they've looked a lot better though.
When I see Bama have to use, did they get a penalty or a timeout after a change of possession? I thought Coach Saban's head was going to explode into Brent Beard's lap, who was at the game.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring in Brent, our friend talking college football on a Tuesday. Brent, how are you?
I'm on a phone that works, number one.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you. Yeah.
We
like working phones.
Hopefully my cat after surgery last night is getting better. And number 3, we're excited about Georgia, Florida coming up. And to answer Brett's question, by the way, I'm waving at y'all on the screen here.
We're waving back. You see me?
Yes. And also, Brett's right. It was a timeout that they never should have had to lose. But the problem is, as good as Bryce Young can be, they also take a lot of time sometimes getting the play in. So there you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sure does, and that might not be all Bryce Young. That could be Bill O'Brien. It could be the GAs. It could be the whole process. But when you see Alabama doing things, because Brent, and Gabe, I want you to remark about this as much as anything. We have entered into the period of the college football season, but when you get into Halloween weekend, you are who you are.
Yeah.
This is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Good or bad?
I'm with you.
Well, I still say that. Now, look, this Bama team, they show in the fourth quarter what they can do when they are able to put it together. But they've still got, in a nutshell, receivers who drop passes. They've got just special teams buffoonery at times, and they've got bust wide open in the secondary. So, and it's like we were talking to some of the beat writers after the game that we all know, and their point's a good one, is we're in a situation right now where we really don't, except for Georgia, and some people question that, we don't have a lot of elite teams, which means as good as some of these other teams are, including Alabama, they've still got a lot of stuff to clean up.
And Brett, I agree. Well, come November, you are who you are, and I think it's accentuated by the fact that everything's on film. You have nothing else at this point in the season.
The book
that
has been built.
You cannot show any new looks. You can try game to game to throw in a wrinkle.
Let's run the wishbone.
But at this point in the season, Brent, you can also talk to this. You stick to what you are good at, what has gotten you to this point.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, what you're looking for now going into November, which is here when we were talking next week, Lord, I had to go away that quick, but it is you just want to execute better and run what you're doing. I mean, Brent's right. You're not reinventing the wheel, and you're not running the veer or the wishbone at this point. And the better you can run what you've got, the better you're going to be. There are no secrets going on this time of year.
No, and there was the particular play in the Ole Miss game last week where Matt Corral tossed it and then had the ball thrown back to him. I thought that was totally to have that on film just for people to have to prepare for. You might not see it again this year.
I don't know why teams don't do more of that, frankly. I mean, we saw it a little bit.
Time limitation?
Even in the NFL this weekend. But that's a timing thing, and unless you've really got that's a risk reward. Gabe, I don't know if you did this when y'all were playing, but that is a timing thing to where if it works, it's a wonderful play. If it doesn't, it may mess you up.
It was a waste of a lot of time.
Yes, it may mess you up for several plays to come.
Yes, there's no question. But I mean, Ole Miss this entire year with Lane Kiffin, Lane loves to throw, and Jeff Levy, they like to throw in a little bit of a wrinkle every single week just to have people see it on film. But Brett asked me this, being sort of outside the program, just sort of watching Ole Miss from the outside. Where do you think they're at 6-1 right now? Mm-hmm. Where do you think they could stand or will stand by the end of the year? They have Auburn this week, going to be a really tough one on the road. Liberty, A&M at home, Vanderbilt at home, on the road to end the year in the Egg Bowl. What do you think about this Ole Miss team?
We talked about this a little bit earlier. I do a podcast with Travis Reier, and it's funny that very subject came up. I mean, frankly, if they continue to play the way they're doing, this could be a New Year's Six team. But again, though, they'll be up for Auburn. I think they're better than Auburn. Even though the game's at Auburn, you've got to watch. You've got to watch voodoo that happens down there, right, Brett?
It's real. It is real as it can be.
And people don't get that, but it really is. So you got to be careful with that one,
especially on Halloween weekend, Brent.
Yeah. Oh, just add more to it. And then the A&M game's up in the air, but I mean they're better. They're better than Liberty. They're better than Vanderbilt. And we know what the Egg Bowl can do. So I mean, realistically, they could run the table, or they could be 10-2, which to me would be simply outstanding.
Brent, you are in Jacksonville, site of the world's largest outdoor cocktail party for years, one of college football's staples, one of college football's great neutral site games. I don't know about the whole neutrality of it, but it's not in Athens and it's not in Gainesville. For the first time in my life, I'm scared of what I'm hearing. I'm scared that we may be at the end of that game being at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville.
Well, you hear that a lot this time of year, but from what because it's the topic du jour that goes on right now, but they've got enough and they don't talk about this enough, but there are enough in these contracts between the city and both schools that it's still going to be here, I think, at least until the end of the decade. So that would be a really good run. Now there's all kinds of talk about that. Could it go to Jacksonville, to Athens, to Gainesville, and to do some kind of trio type thing? But it comes up every year at this time. And I'm not saying that they'll have an extension, but the city will come out with this, and you can almost bet on it, by about Thursday or Friday, about what a staple it is and what they've done to keep it, and basically what the contract is.
Brent, I probably know the answer to this for the most part, but what is the thought, the overwhelming sort of attitude with Gator fans right this second? How are they feeling about the way this season has gone so far?
They're not happy at all with where they're going. I mean, they know they'll probably get beat this weekend. Matter of fact, I've had some Gator fans, if you see them at church or the gym or at work or wherever you see Gator fans, they will tell you that it'd take a miracle to beat Georgia this weekend. But like the Egg Bowl, strange things happen in the series. But
happened last year.
They like Mullen in a lot of ways. They think Mullen's a pretty solid football coach. They know his basement, but they don't know his ceiling, which I know Brett has lived this in covering Ole Miss. The thing there are really two things they struggle with Dan. One is Dan's attitude and the way Dan can get himself in trouble in press conferences or by being interviewed on the field. The other thing that they really don't like, and this is exhibit number one, is that how whatever reason this staff does not like to recruit. They are not elite recruiters, which means and you'll see it this weekend, and you'll see all kinds of graphs on this about where Georgia is in recruiting and Florida is in recruiting. And I'm not saying there's a Grand Canyon between them, but there's a marked difference.
Yeah, and Florida used to be at the top of that, and now Georgia just mopping up, and it feels like, they're in play for any youngster in about a 15-state area.
Well, and basically that's what's happened. And Georgia fans joke about that, about how much talent they've accrued over the years. And the truth of the matter is they've taken some of that talent away from Alabama, and they've got it on their own. So, I mean, this guys is probably the best Georgia team that we have seen since 1980 when they won the title. And that doesn't mean they'll win the title, but it certainly looks that way. But again, strange things happen in this game. But now I'm guessing Brett's experience, Drew, I hope you can one day too. This is like Alabama Auburn at Legion Field. This is like Army Navy. This is like Texas.
No, Brent, I haven't. It's the only thing in the SEC I haven't done. I've never been to the cocktail party.
Yeah,
I've never done it.
We need to get you down here sometime, or if Ole Miss has an off week. But the reality of it is, it's a really special week. I mean, RV City, all these people in these RVs, they start coming in here Tuesday, Wednesday. It's going to be 70 and 48 Saturday, which is just, like living in Hawaii for us. Compared to what we've got, there's excitement that's almost unparalleled. I still say, Jaguars or not, it's the single biggest event in this city every year.
Right. So I want to pose this to both of you guys as far as the SEC goes. Brett, you brought this up to me, and it really made my head spin as far as the playoff is concerned. Kentucky right now sits at number 12, 6-1. Mm-hmm. They end the year at Mississippi State, Tennessee, at Vandy, then they have New Mexico State, more or less an off week, then they play Louisville at Louisville to end the year. How open, realistically, is the college football playoff for Kentucky at this moment?
Well, would they put now?
If Bama won the SEC championship, if it was a Georgia and Bama one loss, they would both get in. Now, Bama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship, then I feel like it may be open for them.
And you've got the only Kentucky loss being obviously to the number one team.
Yes.
And it was respectable.
Absolutely. Now listen. Tell me if the state of Kentucky would explode, or at least in that area up there with neighboring states, if Kentucky replaced Cincinnati in the
Ohio State
instead of them, what would that be like?
What if Kentucky football got in over Ohio State? Brent, first of all, would the Kentucky fans recognize it? Would they be turned on back? Are they into this season sufficiently?
I think they are. I think it's interesting you brought this up because what we've discussed this down here is the real possibility of Kentucky running the table the rest of the way, ending up having a rarefied air 11-1,
the rarest of air.
Absolutely.
Elon Musk can't send anything up to that rare air.
And this is listen, for seasons like this that we only have a 4-team playoff instead of having an 8-team or 12, Kentucky would certainly be in.
Right.
But that is a valid point because imagine this, guys, that we're sitting there the Saturday night before they announced the 4, and you've got a Kentucky team that is 11-1. Well, obviously you'd have championship weekend after that, but imagine them being 11-1, and Kentucky either being what, guys, 5 or 6.
At worst. And that's if they just went out. And that's if they just went out in modest style. What if they really went out, say this Saturday at Starkville? I don't think they will. But what if they went out and put a 2-3 touchdown whipping on Mississippi State? Same at home against Tennessee. They will against Vandy. They will against New Mexico State. And then in the Governor's Cup, lay it on Louisville and really put the cherry on top.
And then the Big Ten East dealing with what they're dealing with. All 4 of those ranked teams, more or less top 10 teams, have to face
a cage match.
And then Oklahoma, I don't know if you've seen the last 3 games on their schedule, all ranked teams. Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State.
Right.
They could trip up. So
they could.
It is crazy where we're at to think Kentucky really is in this thing.
Well, that's incredibly exciting for Mark Stoops and that program, and they've earned it. And I do think, even though basketball will have started by then, that I think that fan base will be into it. I mean, obviously we have a lot of interest in the Gators because we cover them in the league. But I mean, Kentucky that fan base was more than into that Gator game, and how excited they were at home. So and look, Stoops is getting them some attention. Gee, could you argue, Brent? Could you argue they've never had?
Oh yeah, it's biggest in my lifetime. I mean, you have to go back to when Bear coached there, and that's a long time ago now.
Yeah,
very different brand. I mean, Babe Parilli was his quarterback. My goodness.
Yeah, but that would be that would be incredible for Kentucky football. Would be to be considered in a year as an elite team. And
Brent,
how
I would almost pull for it if they got in the college football playoff. Unless Ole Miss is in there, I would pull for them. I think I would laugh myself to sleep every night the rest of my life if Mark Stoops had the same number of national championships as John Calipari. I don't know anything that would tickle me more that I could say Mark Stoops has won as many as big mouth cow.
That's just hilarious. yeah. That would. They wouldn't want to, Brett. Would they actually admit that?
Compare the job of Mark Stoops and the limitations that he has and what he's won to all the smoke and mirror and all the pomp and circumstance for the most overdone. Never has anybody won less with more than John Calipari.
Well, in other words, Stoop has been successful without having the circus.
Yeah, and Calipari has the circus, and he's shining on one trophy.
Right.
I have to pose this real quick about Mark Stoops. With how well he's doing at Kentucky, You think he'd ever leave? Because we know he's an Iowa guy. Played defensive back there. I think he was GA there for a while.
Played for Hayden Fry, didn't he?
Yeah. Would there be any chance he ever leaves Kentucky?
That would be the natural spot,
right,
to succeed Kirk Ferentz.
Absolutely.
He would be. Now, listen, he was considered, how much we believe and have heard, before Norvell got the job at Florida State, that he was considered for that. See, here's what you got to look at. Brett brought this up the other day. Like Mark Stoops to me is like Billy Napier. He's a program builder. He's not real flashy. He's not going to crack a bunch of jokes. But from what he's done in building that roster, you can make the argument right now that is easily one of the best jobs in America. I mean, they would have a parade if they're 11-1, but if he's 8-4,
right?
They would say,
they're okay.
That's okay. That's okay. That's a good season, and we're happy with that. Yeah. And in Tuscaloosa, Athens, you get fired for being 8-4.
Ask Ed Orgeron.
But
absolutely.
But that Iowa job's a similar way as well.
Workman-like job. Yeah.
Yes. 7-5's fine. They may have a couple of complaints, but you ain't getting fired over it. But 10-2, 11-1, you're in good hands. Those fans will embrace you. So
if they did that, and I know we're getting close here, but if they, and I know that they would have to do it for several years probably. Mm-hmm. But that would be fun to see Kentucky thought of as one of the elite programs in the league. And if you go in 11-1, how can you not say that?
Right, that's the truth. That's the truth. And me and Brett have said it. If they make the college football playoff, if they go 11-1 and win a New Year's Six bowl game,
does he get a statue?
Statue. Brett said Coliseum. He says give him the whole works. So he has been unbelievable there, and he's done it in some tough circumstances as well.
How will they not offer him a lifetime contract if that happens?
They have to. The rollover, the Mike Gundy 5-year rollover, something
Absolutely.
like that.
Yeah. Man.
But he is Brent Beard. He's our guy on college football on Tuesdays. Brent, thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. Enjoyed it as always. Great discussion.
All right.
Thanks you so much. Brent Beard with us every Tuesday afternoon. And you need to get down to All-Star Chevrolet in beautiful Olive Branch. You know if you want a new Tahoe or Silverado, All-Star, they have them. All the best in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, where all the Chevys are. A lot of new Tahoes and new Chevys are in transit, so claim yours now. Order what you want today. Remember, it's not South Haven, it's not Collierville, it's not Mount Moriah or the Pike. It's got to be Olive Branch. If you want a certified pre-owned Chevy, they have them. If you're looking for a specific pre-owned car or truck, ask for Kevin, ask for Jeff. They'll find it, and they'll get it to you fast. If you want to sell any car, truck, or SUV, All-Star will buy it, even if you owe money on it. Even if you don't buy one of theirs, they'll, as they always say, bring your title. They'll get you a check, and they'll get it to you today. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch, or see them online all the time at allstarautogroup.com.
Brett, I'm telling you, when you talk about that Iowa fan base, I've talked to Alex several times about this. They want Mark Stoops as soon as Kirk is gone. Now, the inside information is Brian Ferentz, Kirk's son, would step into that role. But Mark Stoops is going to be very wanted, and I'm not so sure he'd turn it down, considering where he came from with that program, played there, GA'd there. That's where he started his
played there, didn't he?
Yeah, that's where he started his coaching career. Was in Iowa. So
yeah,
I wouldn't count it out.
I think their position coach was Bill Snyder on the staff of Hayden Fry.
Wow, that's a heck of a staff, and people
sure is.
Don't
he always has.
People sleep on that coaching tree, don't they? How far
they really do.
And then the Kirk Ferentz coaching tree as well is sort of spread around as well. So, I mean, Iowa has done a good job with their coaches over the past 50 years. They have not had many of them. It's kind of like the Steelers of the Big Ten in a way. But we will transition when we come back from the break. I have a couple texts to read on college football, but then we will talk. I have a very interesting conversation to bring up about James Harden and free throws and the changes that have been made to the rule book and how referees are refereeing in the NBA this year. I think you'll find that very interesting. We'll be right back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
You have opinions?
What do you hear? What do you say?
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hey, Mid-South! It's time to get your Mitsu on at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike. Want great mileage at a great price? How about 43 mpg in your new 2021 Mitsubishi Mirage, $179 per month. Get more standard equipment than Ford Escape or Mazda CX-5 in your 2022 Eclipse Cross, $279 per month. Need My Pilot Assist? We Gossett in new 2022 Outlander at $319 a month. And get our stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So hurry to Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage Eclipse, 84 months at 3.9% APR. Mirage MH010713 MSRP 17055, 3100 down. Eclipse NZ09209 MSRP 26470, 5150 down. Outlander NZ023516 MSRP 29445, 84 months at 4.9, 4500 down. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/21. Dealer stock only.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Fall is in the air, and so are Choate's Early Bird Specials. Right now, receive $1,000 off the purchase of a new Carrier gas furnace. Carrier furnaces come with some of the best warranties in the industry, and Choate's has been professionally installing them for over 60 years. As a Carrier factory authorized dealer, Choate's also offers competitive financing solutions for you and your family. If your heating system is in good shape, make sure you take advantage of Choate's Early Bird Tune-Up Special for $60. This tune-up is an in-depth 20-point inspection to make sure your furnace is ready for the winter season ahead. So call 347-8086 to schedule your Early Bird Special today. And turn to the experts with Choate's and let our family serve your family.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Memphis, it's official, honey. Crab Kings is where it's at. The best seafood with 7 flavors to choose from. Try the shrimp, chicken, salmon, and fried lobster pastas. There's snow crab, king crab, dungeons, and more. Please don't forget about the calamari, shrimp, and lobsters, honey. The portions, the price, the taste is only at Crab Kings. Download our app and search Crab Kings on Google. Visit us at crabkingstn.com. Crab Kings, where the flavor is king.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Couple of texts on the AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255, to follow up. These folks, I want to ask this question, Brett, and I think it's an interesting one. Does Tennessee improving have something to do with Ole Miss and Bama, their last 2 games, looking out of sync? I think Tennessee really is improving. Josh Heupel's done a good job offensively since Hendon Hooker's been in there. The closeness of both those games possibly led to was because they were a little out of sync. But I think those Volunteers are looking a lot better this year.
Tennessee's getting better, and I don't want to patronize them at all. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I understand. It's just
I don't want to patronize them. They're getting better. It's obvious they're getting. I'm not getting better. Obviously,
They have a long way to go, though.
Yeah.
They have a long way to go.
They do, but
There's hope.
There's hope for Tennessee. They're clearly going in the right direction. It's just going to take recruiting, and for Heupel, he's going to be able to cash in the portal, in the transfer world, and in recruiting. He's going to keep offensive weaponry around.
Right, and to think about last offseason with the coaching change, they got killed by the portal. All their good players got
as
taken.
much as anyone in the country.
Yeah, so you are right. He will be able to take advantage of
Now,
the portal, but
you could examine what did they really lose in Gray and Toe.
The
Toe hadn't played well at all at Bama. There was times
he did
Saturday
at the beginning
night,
of the year, though, didn't he? He was solid.
He did. There was times Saturday night that I thought he was loafing. I'll say it.
Honestly, and also Eric Gray leaving, I am so annoyed at this point. And I know that Kennedy Brooks is a good back, but Eric Gray is not utilized enough in that Oklahoma offense.
And
I'm not just saying that because he's a Memphis guy and went to law. I'm not saying it because of that, because I think Eric Gray is an absolute pro, and they need to utilize him more. And I think if he would have stayed at Tennessee, he'd have been the lead guy.
He would have been the featured guy, but Tennessee's got to get better on defense. Their main focus is going to be on Walter Nolan. I mean, I think that's why he transferred to go to school at Powell. I think they will get him, and they got to get better in the defensive line. And that's not going to happen overnight.
No, it will not. But and here's the other thing I do. This is my question when they hired Heupel. Heupel has the high-powered offense. You throw it out to the edges a lot. You take shots down the sideline. You do a lot of four vertical type stuff. I wonder if eventually people will catch on. Now, granted, you're going to have eventually the guys he wants in the positions, at quarterback, at wide receiver, running back, the whole 9 yards. But I just wonder if year after year some of those coaches in the SEC will catch on and sort of expose that offense. Because that's what, I mean, for a little.
That's true for a couple places.
Right, that is true. I mean, in the AAC, it never really got caught on to because there's not a whole lot of defense being played. But in the SEC, it's a different ball game.
You got to play some defense Saturday. Tennessee was right there, very competitive. I know they're not playing for moral victories. I know that, and I do not want to patronize the Tennessee fan. They've had 2 tough weeks in a row, a game that they think they should have, could have won, certainly against Ole Miss. And if Hooker doesn't get hurt, they probably do win.
And for the people hitting the text line, worried about Brett and the cough, guess what?
He's fine.
He's fine. Allergies. Everybody
just went
has
down the wrong pipe too.
Everybody has water. A little bit of water, Coke.
Everything goes down the wrong pipe. I think the pipes are narrowed.
I hear you. Interesting question.
Thank you for the concern.
Interesting question here. It's about Ole Miss and their college football playoff hopes. Does Ole Miss still have a path to the playoff without winning the SEC championship? If Bama loses the championship game to Georgia, could an 11-1 Ole Miss get in? An 11-1 Ole Miss has a good resume because that means they would have beaten Auburn on the road, Texas A&M, and they would have won the Egg Bowl. So that's
how much do those wins really stand up at that point? Does A&M have another loss to go with it? Does Auburn lose the Iron Bowl, and then that puts them? If Auburn loses this weekend, they have 3 losses.
We had the conversation though about Kentucky, right? Getting into the college football playoff. If Ole Miss runs the table, their resume is definitely, most certainly better than Kentucky, correct? As far as down the stretch goes.
Well, you got Louisville at the end for Kentucky. Ole Miss had them at the beginning, so push.
I guess
Kentucky. What would be Kentucky's biggest win of the year?
Kentucky's biggest win would
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. But what does that look like now?
All right, that's a big name. That's like saying, "Hey, Ole Miss beat LSU." Well,
LSU.
LSU it's a big brand. It's a big brand, but is it a very good team for 2021 football? And I said this yesterday. This is the point of every year, and it makes me angry at myself. that I get to it when at the end it all kind of wraps up nicely for the SEC, that I start thinking it's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. It's not as big a deal as maybe we make it, as some make it. Mm-hmm. And then it plays out, and in actuality, it was that big a deal. But, how good is Arkansas?
Not as good as we thought at the beginning of the season when they beat Texas. There's no question about that, but I still think they're a solid team, and that win means something by the end of the year. I certainly think that.
It sure means.
And a win,
something.
A win against Auburn on the road, when in all likelihood, Auburn.
When you've only won there 3 times ever.
Yes, that means something, and Auburn probably can beat Mississippi State. I wouldn't necessarily 100% count on it. Will beat South Carolina.
I'm playing the other side. I'm playing the devil's advocate. If I were doing sports talk radio in Ely, Ohio, which I don't even know if they have a sports talk station there.
Understood.
You could say, hey, great win for Ole Miss on the road. They beat Auburn on the road, on the plains, at Jordan-Hare on a Saturday night. That's going to be Auburn's 4th loss.
Third
loss.
Yeah,
third loss, rather.
I was say
That's
third.
Going to be Auburn's third, and staring at least one more to Alabama, and maybe two more. Maybe
with A&M.
3 more.
Two more with A&M.
And
3 more
State.
three more would be a big disappointment for Brian Harsin year 1, right?
So in the end, how big is that for the current, and how big will it look on Selection Sunday, on College Football Playoff 4 Sunday?
And then if you go look at A&M as a win, down the stretch, they're going to get Prairie View and LSU to wrap up the year. So if they lose that Ole Miss game,
you know who we're for in that game. We're for Josh Crawford in that game in Prairie View.
Oh, no question. But yes, we're absolutely for him, and I'm hoping they can make something happen.
But for the Aggies, what if they in the last ride of Ed Orgeron lost at Baton Rouge?
That Texas A&M team seems to me right this moment. How they've been playing lately. Zach Calzade's playing a lot better. That's a 9-3 team. That's a ranked team by the end of the year. That's a big win. If
Ole Miss wins that one.
Yeah, if Ole Miss
wins
that.
But
then A&M plays Auburn too. So got to see how that one shakes out. But I
not
think
quite the cage match the Big Ten has, but the SEC's they've got some poison pills. They've got some they've got some teams that can just destroy other teams' hopes.
But if A&M, or depending on whoever wins the Auburn A&M game, if Ole Miss beats that team, that's going to be a very good win by the end of the year. And down the stretch, Kentucky doesn't have anything on the schedule. Truthfully.
At the end of it, how much apologizing if you're Kentucky or Ole Miss do you have to do for being 11-1 if you are?
Yeah, none, absolutely none. And Keith chimes in as he does almost daily. That's why you need an 8-team, 12-team playoff.
Keith, I think it's why you need 16. Let's go ahead and remove all doubt. Let's go ahead and get all the discussion points out. Now, where I get in trouble with a lot of people is my 16-teamer is 16 at largest.
So, so what if
I don't care you won the CUSA? That means nothing to me.
Gosh, that's tough. Though.
I want 16 at largest, and in all these years that the AAC's been left out,
I feel like they
would be in because they would be in.
I feel like they would find a way to leave out a really good Group of 5 conference champion, though. In that situation, a 1-loss conference champion of the CUSA. I don't know. I don't
think they would leave out AAC.
Like UTSA this year. They lost
That's
one
a good
game.
Discussion.
Would they be in an at-large situation there?
If they lost how many games?
Just one.
I think that would put them in jeopardy.
That's tough. That is tough. You don't have any. So basically what you're saying is if one of those teams schedules a very good opponent first couple weeks out of conference, they lose. They're just about out of the conversation completely.
I would hope the whole scheduling model would also change. And for years, and it was long before the 12-minute third and fourth quarter Saturday at War Memorial Stadium that I'm still – that really upsets me. on the fly, I just don't think you change college football like that no more than you would change a college basketball game. Sunday afternoon, Lemoyne Owen didn't ask for less clock in the second half.
No, they didn't. They did not. No,
they
wanted to play.
You just don't do that.
You don't.
I just don't think you do that. But anyway, I would hope the scheduling model would change what I have advocated for a long time, that nobody in the SEC ever plays an FCS team again.
Yeah.
All FBS.
You think
somebody.
Alabama would have an issue with that. They always get an FCS opponent on there. They always have a bye game.
Eastern Michigan would play.
Yes. Okay. FBS opponent bye game is fine.
Yes.
Okay.
But no more FCS.
That's
And you can talk all you want. Well, it's good for teams with historical black colleges and universities. It's good for in-state and all that. No. We got to move away from that. No FCS opponents for anybody in the SEC.
They'll still get scheduled by other conferences. Those opponents.
And if you feel that philanthropic, just write them a check.
That's a good point. Thanks for the text. Keep bringing them in, 901-360-8255. We will read them. We will discuss them. But I have to get to this because I found this interesting. James Harden, and this is something that we have kept an eye on. He's been very good at drawing fouls in the past. He averages about 8 to 9 free throws per game in his career. Now, since they've made the changes to the calling, the system that the refs use during the game, where you can't jump into a defender, where you can't change your body, kick a foot out, you can't contort your body to get a foul call, through 4 games, he's at 3 free throws per game. And yesterday, in the post-game press conference, he was asked about this change and what he thought of it. Here's James Harden on that.
I'm not asking this as an excuse, but a lot has been made about the rule changes and how they're calling the game.
It's still basketball at the end of the day. No matter how much of a big deal we try to make it, a foul is a foul. It's pretty simple. I feel like putting too much emphasis on rules, or not even rules, just certain people, to where you look at it as clear fouls. But for me, you just got to keep going. No big deal.
Coach kind of said the same thing. He said that you're kind of like the poster boy of the new rule change now.
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm not the type to complain about it. You know what I mean? I just, ask every official, if they see a foul, just call the foul. Sometimes I feel like, coming into a game, it's already predetermined, or I already have that stigma of, getting foul calls. But I just ask for officials to just call what they see.
Do you feel like if you're not going to get these calls, do you have to change anything about your game?
Keep playing. I can't stop playing basketball. A foul is a foul, no matter what league it is. So just, but it's bigger than that. I got to just keep playing. I got to play better, obviously. That's it.
So
I was going to ask
So James Harden, he'll
be fine.
He's a Hall of Fame player. There's no question. But this, Brett, I've watched some of the Nets sort of games this year. This takes a lot away from his game. Not being able to get those calls at the rim on his drives because he's got a funky style. He's the lefty. He makes people uncomfortable. He contorts his body in certain ways. This has taken so much from his scoring, from 8 or 9 free throws a game to 3. And
the Nets have a lot going on, but we're 1 week in. If we're a month in and the Nets are struggling along, and then everything would be refactored for sure if something happened to Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's off to a very klutzy start for him.
And how do you feel about how they have tried to implement this rule? I think that last year, when all the conversation came around, I thought there was a lot of situations with Trae Young especially where he was getting foul calls where he's jumping backwards into guys, just things that are so unnatural that didn't make any sense.
And Harden lived off of it for years, living at the line.
Right, and I have noticed, though, I think in some situations this year, you're sort of letting undisciplined defenders get away with jumping into the sort of landing circle of the offensive player.
The threat of injury then.
And then we always talk about refereeing in this way, Brett. It's in the eye of the beholder. And I never think that those things go over all that well. And I always think that there's always going to be room for them to be changed year to year. And
you let somebody slide under John Morant and he land on their foot and turn an ankle, we won't like it here.
Yes, but you'd hope that'd be a foul call at the very least. Am I right? That's
at minimum you want a foul. Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting. We'll keep an eye on it. But James Harden through the early going has struggled. I think he'll be fine long term. He can shoot well enough. He gets off the dribble well enough. He'll be all right. But it certainly has taken something away from his game in the early going. When we come back, we have a lot to discuss actually around baseball. Brett and I have to talk. We have to make our picks. No question about the World Series. Game 1 tonight, 7:09 first pitch. We also have to talk about the Cardinals. They made a hire. Oliver Marmol. He will be the youngest manager in the MLB at 35 years of age. And also you look at I mentioned it in the top story of the day. The managers this year in the World Series combined ages 138 years old. So the Cardinals taking a little different sort of approach to hiring a manager. We'll talk about all that and more when we come back on Sports Time.
Happy Hour has a new time. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour now from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you think of 117 Prime, Memphis' premier downtown dining destination, you probably think first of the always perfect steaks cooked over an open flame. And you'd be right. But you should also think of wine. The wine program at 117 Prime is far and away the best in Memphis. Whether you're looking for top-of-the-line Cabernets, champagne made by the same families for centuries, or a bottle from someplace you've never heard of, the expert staff at Prime will help you find the perfect wine to accompany your perfect meal. Your perfect meal at 117 Prime.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I got him on the line, Jeff Allen, the king of Happy at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Hey folks, need a new ride that gets 41 MPG? 2021 Kia Forte, $249 a month. 2021 Kia Rio S hatchback, 41 MPG, only $258 a month. Plus a 2022 turbocharged Kia Soul, ready for that road trip at $267 a month.
Plus, you'll always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program. Remember, Forte $249, Rio $258, Soul $267. And don't sell your trade till you check with us.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 72 months at 2.9%, $29.99 down payment. Forte, ME 409,215, MSRP 19,335. Rio, ME 427,894, MSRP 19,755. Soul, M 7808,276, MSRP 20,615. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Must finance through Kia on low APR. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/21. Dealer stock only.
Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine is celebrating their 35th year. Come in today and choose from a big selection of tequilas, vodkas, and over 70 different single malts. Bourbon whiskey fans will find over 200 bourbons and whiskeys from around the world, along with wines from every region for all you wine enthusiasts. Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine, 146 Highway 72, Suite 102 in Collierville. It's next to Captain John's Barbecue. Open every day, including Sundays from 10 to 7 for football and all sports fans. Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine, celebrating 35 years with you. There's a lot of things to like about October. The cooler weather, football, the start of basketball season, and of course the Memphis Zoo's Zootoberfest. Zootoberfest is now one of the best things to look forward to every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in October. Guests can purchase a commemorative stein to sip beer while they enjoy a fall afternoon at the Memphis Zoo. Just $12 while supplies last. Refills only $6. Must be 21 or older to purchase. It's Zootoberfest at the Memphis Zoo every Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5 in October.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
World Series Game 1 tonight on this beautiful Tuesday night. It'll be in Houston. Braves visiting Morton versus Valdez to open up the World Series this year. And the managers, they've been in these type of situations, maybe not Brian Snitker, but Dusty Baker's certainly been in these type of situations before. Older, experienced managers, and it should be a fun start. You look at the Astros, so many bats in that lineup. They don't need to be hot because they're always hot. They're always very good hitting the baseball and striking the baseball. But the Braves have come into this World Series especially hot.
They have, and the Braves with playing against Dusty Baker, who was a great Brave in the 70s, teammates of Hank Aaron. Then he won. He was part of the winning 81 Dodgers, and that was a strike-shortened year, and the Dodgers beat the Yankees in that World Series. Last in the World Series as manager in 2002, as we talked about earlier, had I think a 3-1 lead in that series before the Giants lost it to the Angels for the Angels' only World Series title. I'm for the Braves in the picks so far in the playoffs. I'm 3-4. Bryant's 3-4. Gabe's 2-5.
I didn't need to hear that. I can't make first pick.
World Series pick, Bryant.
I'll go with the Braves.
Gabe.
I'm going Astros. I'm 2-5. I got to make up the ground somewhere.
Good for you. I'm going to go Atlanta, and that's more heart than anything else. I'll be fine if Houston wins at Dusty Baker, and I think it's time for everybody to forgive and forget over the trash cans.
Yes, I think that this is – heard a lot of people talk about this World Series as somewhat of a mismatch as far as the lineups go, but the way the Braves have been striking the ball, there's no way you could count them out at this point. I mean, Eddie Rosario at the front of that lineup has been nothing short of spectacular. And he puts the ball in play.
Hot, though.
You would think, but he has. And
maybe quit throwing him pitches in at belt high.
And
how about a different pitching approach with him?
The thing that he's done, or that he especially did in the NLCS, was leading off the game. He made you throw pitches. Whoever it was on the mound, you're throwing.
He ran the pitch count up.
You're throwing 7 pitches.
Else.
I mean, you had
It'll be a great scene in Houston. It's a great retractable roof park. I've never been to baseball there, but Eli Savoy and I got to go to Super Bowl media night. Was held there for the Patriots and Falcons Super Bowl. Great ballpark, great setting in downtown Houston, and the Astros with a win in this series. I don't think they supplant Boston as the team of the 21st century, but they're in the argument, and you know what all goes with it.
5 straight ALCSs, though. I mean, you have to put them in that conversation. I know that Boston's been fantastic, but they're, I mean, equally as good, the Astros, if they win this one. Now to the Cardinals. Cardinals made their hire a couple days ago. Oliver Marmol served as the bench coach under Mike Schilt, has been in the organization for a long, long time. 2007 was when he started as a player, never made it to the majors. 2017, though, he joined as a coach. He's 35 years old, so opening day next year, he will be, unless somebody else gets hired younger, he will be the youngest manager in the MLB. And, Brett, the first thing I thought about, I said, you wanted Buck Showalter. This is complete opposite of what you wanted.
This is the anti-Buck, and I'm not wild about it. I mean, I think this is warmed over. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Why not hire Stubby Clapp? Why not hire Skippy Schumacher? Why not keep Mike Schill? Why not go back and try Mike Matheny over again? All these managers since Tony La Russa have been, I think, puppets for
100%
for John Mozeliak.
They're in-house guys that in Oliver Marmol it's very clear what he is. He's a guy that's been groomed by the organization.
I mean, who else is going out there and hiring Oliver Marmol? Nobody.
No one. He was the only franchise that would have hired him is the Cardinals. Now, when I didn't know that he was actually listed on these odds from Bet Online, he was actually right after Buck Showalter at 15-2. So you could have cashed in if you would have said Oliver Marmol was going to be the next manager.
I wanted Buck Showalter, and I'm afraid his age and how it ends for him. It ends usually pretty contentious with management and everybody around, and it has not ever ended with a title for Buck Showalter.
Right. I don't know enough about Oliver Marmol. No one knows anything about the guy as a manager. And you're taking over one of the most historic, best franchises in the MLB who need a change.
He's a Mo guy, though.
He is, and he was under Schilt. I just don't know how much of a difference is he going to be. You can't answer that. And yes, he's a Mo guy, but where?
And I love Stubby Clapp, and I think Stubby Clapp had earned it more than Oliver Marmol with those great years, the most historic, victorious years ever for the Redbirds.
I'll ask it this way: he's a Mozeliak guy. Do you want a Mozeliak guy in that position right
no
this second?
longer in Mo I trust, and that is just.
If it works out, it works out. I mean, we have to give him
the last title. 8 years since the last appearance in the World
What do you
Series.
think about that? That title didn't have much to do with Mozeliak at that time. That wasn't his doing, so to speak, was it?
Well, he was
part of it, of course. But I mean, there was some carryover, some continuity from the old regime at that time. And I'm not saying he didn't do anything; he didn't have his part in it. But it's interesting, and we'll watch it. But Oliver Marmol hired at 35 years old to be the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. When we come back, it's all NFL. We're talking with Bo Marchant. Monday Night Football last night was a doozy, 13-10, and the elements in Seattle. We'll talk to him about that. We'll also talk to him about Mike Tomlin addressing the rumors at USC. But we'll do that when we come back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
The deals keep getting stronger than ever at the Ram Power Days and Jeep Adventure Days at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. Want a Cherokee Classic with a modern twist? Get it with 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude 4-wheel drive, $409 a month. How about 2021 Chrysler 300 Touring, $426 a month? Take on off-road trails, city streets, and everything in between in a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L Limited, $489 a month. And the workhorse 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Tradesman, $497 a month. Plus top dollar for your trade at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. So drive past the rest and come to the best, or shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Cherokee 300 Ram, all 75 months at 3.99 APR, 3,500 down. Cherokee MD 220971, MSRP 30,580. 300 MH 64614, MSRP 34,945. L M8 114994, MSRP 50,320. 48 month lease. 1500 MS 578 8563, MSRP 40,030. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through the end of the month. Dealer stock only.
It's football time in Memphis, and if you or someone you know is thinking of selling their home, it sure better be home selling time in Memphis. And just like you may have a favorite team, favorite coach, or favorite players, you may not have a favorite real estate agent. If you don't, think about drafting me, Sheldon Rosengarten, with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. I always tell people they need to talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers to find out who will be the best quarterback of their home selling team. Have you heard people say that when you want the job done, call Sheldon? Find out why my award-winning, highly successful strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option can mean the difference in whether you sit or sell. Also find out how to take advantage of our worldwide relocation network. Call or email me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now, and go Tigers.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PASS for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PASS for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PASS.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Thank you, Brett. We are here and we're making it. I have to say a big thank you to all of our customers that ordered food during the curbside days, bought gift certificate when times were slow, ordered food to be shipped from our shipping kitchen, and then came back down to eat when our doors reopened. We owe a debt to the Memphis and surrounding community for supporting us when we need it. I hope y'all all come eat some barbecue with us, but I also hope you'll support our local restaurants. And if your service is a little slow or an item isn't on the menu that you enjoy, cut them a little slack. Hopefully it'll be there soon.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you for feeding all of us, and we will take that advice to heart.
Brett, we also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
It's time to get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, and Gossett's got the goods to put you on the road today. 2021 Kia Forte, 41 mpg highway, $249 a month. 2021 Kia Rio S hatchback, 41 mpg ready to road trip at $258 a month. Get turbo power with 2022 Kia Soul, $267 a month. And they're not leases, you own them. Forte, $249, Rio, $258, Soul, $267. You want it? We Gossett at Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 72 months at 2.9%, $29.99 down payment. Forte, ME 409,215, MSRP 19,335. Rio, ME 427,894, MSRP 19,755. Sold in 7808,276, MSRP 20,615. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Must finance through Kia on low APR. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/21. Dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Final hour on this busy Tuesday, and yes, I will make it till 6 o'clock. Thank you for your concern. Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com will join us momentarily to talk the NFL, specifically the team he covers there in Pittsburgh, and Mike Tomlin's very animated comments today about potential college openings. He also will compare and contrast Matt Corral to Pittsburgh Panther quarterback Kenny Pickett, that he sees a lot and has scouted a lot in his college football watching this year right there in Pittsburgh. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience you've come to know, love, and appreciate at DeSoto Auto Sales. They're very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. All the cars test-driven, all checked out bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And at a time it's hard to find cars, they have them at DeSoto Auto Sales. You're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales. They do want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive a car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in your new car in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee. They know we live in a world today that time matters. That's why they keep it simple for you at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
And he is our friend, Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com. Bo, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How's the day treating you guys?
We cannot complain. Very
well.
But I know that, and I'm gonna start this with a little bit of audio. I know Mike Tomlin has his complaints about how the day started. Wait, go ahead.
Were you in the room? Were you on the Zoom call?
Yeah. No, I was not on the Zoom call today, but I watched it when I got home and did all my notes.
Let's go ahead and get that audio.
Guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
No, Bo, I completely agree with this sentiment there because if you're coaching the Steelers, and especially for how long he has no worry about where he stands with that organization. Did you expect him to be that fiery about it, though?
You know what? In a sense, he's been fiery this year in a fun way, but fiery nonetheless. In its typical Tomlin dialogue, he usually gives it to direct in a charismatic manner, but I'm glad he addressed it the way he did because I really do think he gets a sense that this is not going to move any further past today. I'm not leaving. If the Steelers elect not to have me here, then that changes the situation. But as long as the black and gold are going to sign a check for him to be the head coach, then he's going to remain there. So, any distraction, we know all the head coaches don't want any distraction.
Right.
I think he nipped it right in the butt. And now, you just concentrate on Cleveland, big game this weekend, and just kind of get past anything spectacle, anything. It's completely done today.
Right. I love the answer. I love the fire. I love him. I think he should. They ought the Rooneys ought to sign him up for life. The great job he's done, and we know that the Steelers aren't much on changing coaches since Bill Austin. They've had Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. They don't change coaches. They don't have fits and starts with good years and bad. But Bo, it wasn't out of the clear blue sky. That reporter that asked him that wasn't doing anything wrong. Carson Palmer, a Heisman Trophy winner at USC, injected this into the conversation. Now, you can be mad at Carson Palmer, but the poor fella asking the question wasn't out there just trying to stir up noise.
Well, you know what? I think it's just, it's going to start. He probably got text messages privately from people who know him. It's one of those things that if you're really not intent on doing that, and then you just kind of waste time, waste your day answering questions that are not relevant to actual reality. I get it. A couple weeks ago, it was after after the Raiders lost, Najee Harris caught 14 passes. It would set a new NFL or a new Steelers record for receptions in a game. And I remember we went up and Mark Caboli writes for The Athletic, and we were up in the press box afterwards writing our stories. And he joked around with me. He goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "What do you mean, am I okay?" And he goes, "You kind of got yelled at." I go, "I got yelled at," because I asked Tomlin when he was happy, and he was very direct. He did kind of yell. He goes, "Don't ever ask me if I'm happy after a loss." He just and then I joked with Mark Caboli. I said, "Listen, I've been married for 25 years." I go, that type of talk doesn't faze me. So.
Exactly. But I don't blame Tomlin for where he's at right now, where his team's at right now, because realistically, this Steelers team is one of the more influx Steelers team he's ever had.
Yeah, it's. Last week and I don't think Seattle's a very good football team. I still respect them because I respect Pete Carroll, and I think they're a 2-4 football team. No, not necessarily, but I don't think they're much better than that. So they're 3-5 for what that's worth. But the Steelers, I like their odds this week. The defense is kind of getting into shape. As long as that defense can be healthy and potent, they're going to be in all those games. And, Cleveland's, they got their injuries to deal with as well. So, at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have been so optimistic that they could actually go to Cleveland and possibly walk away with the win. But I don't, I think that's a very realistic thing, coming into this Halloween weekend that, the Steelers can, go on the road and come back victorious. But it's different, Tomlin, it's like any big-time program in college or any team that has, Super Bowl aspirations. When you're spoiled with wins and Lombardis and national championships, that's the status quo. And anything else, anything less than that is not adequate. It is. And, people, listen, and any head
We're not talking about the Lions or the Panthers here. No. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It is. And, I always look at what he was able to do with Antonio Brown. Did it end up well? No, but you look, the Raiders had him for 2 months, and you look what happened. That he was able to keep Brown under the radar, all that animosity, all that turmoil, and keep him happy, and everything flowing offensively. until, it came to a catastrophic halt. But nonetheless, he kept it in tune. And, we saw how Brown unraveled. But and even Colbert. I mean, Colbert went to the podium at the Combine. He was like, I don't know the exact number, but he was like, hey, we want 4 number 1 picks for Antonio Brown, which was genius because, you're saying, hey, was he serious? It doesn't matter. And everybody laughed at them when they got like a 4 for him. But what did the Raiders get? They got nothing. So I thought Colbert laughed all the way to the bank. He was willing to probably take nothing for the guy because he knew what the deal was. But he came out and he said, we're going to sell him as high as possible, get what we get, and anything that we get is something that we didn't think we were going to get anyway. So, they're a smart organization, everyone. But again, when you're talking Super Bowls, anything less than that is just more frustration.
And Tomlin and Tom Brady, the only 2 guys that seem to have a hold on AB. And me and Brett actually had this conversation. And you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, but AB at this point, as far as Hall of Fame aspirations, do you think he's there?
I would say yes. And, and the only reason I say that is, if you think in the middle of Randy Moss's career, the things that he did, and now he's revered, and I loved Randy Moss, and I think he does a great job on ESPN. Terrell Owens, these guys in their heyday, they were
Chris Carter
they were problematic players, and Moss really, Moss had a lot of incidents. When you have an incident with a police officer in a car, that's pretty substantial. We knew about him, his explosion of the the food at I think one of the Vikings facilities. So but nonetheless, Brown in today's age, everything's so public. Everything's on video, and he went off the rails. I think anyone that, and I think he would probably admit that at this point. But as you guys mentioned, Tomlin and Brady have seemed to have been able to, corral him, get his mind right. Listen, I've seen Brown from the day he arrived from Central Michigan. The second, he was the Georgia Tech running back. He was the first 6th-round pick for the Steelers that year. Brown was the second. And from the time he arrived in Latrobe, you knew he had another level. I didn't think it would be that level, Hall of Fame worthy. But nonetheless, watching his career evolve and seeing the plays that he made, I promise you this, if Bill Belichick was the coach of the Steelers, because I think Belichick just likes to toy with everybody, if he woke up one day and told Josh McDaniels, listen, we're going to get Brown 31 receptions today, Brown could be open that many times. He was that good. Yes. Really, level of play, truly, one of the best.
Bo, this week the Steelers 3-3 against the Browns 4-3. I don't want to go too over the top, but it feels like it's pretty must win for somebody in Cleveland. And Cleveland with Baker Mayfield and now his left shoulder very injured. The Steelers, the defeated team could be looking at a long rest of the year.
It is. This is a big game. And I love it. Dearness Johnson, the way he performed Thursday against the Broncos was fabulous, 146 yards rushing. And then you think about what the Steelers do. They're fantastic at stopping the run. But, the Browns, that offensive line, it's kind of like the Steelers, that defense is going to be up to task against anybody. But opposite of that offensive line for Cleveland, they put it to everybody as well. So to me, this is a heavyweight matchup between the Steelers front and that Cleveland offensive front. And whoever's able to win that part of it, I think it's going to prevail. If you see the Browns dominating the time of possession and running the ball down the Steelers' throat, then I think it's the Cleveland victory. I think if they can shut down that run game and force Cleveland to go to the air, I think the Steelers' offense is capable enough of scoring on that Browns defense. It really hasn't found a rhythm yet. And I know, you really can't be happy with if they shut down the Broncos offense. To me, that's really not a tall task. As dismal as the Steelers offense was, they were able to score on the Broncos and really embarrass that team. So, I think it's that Steelers defense against that Browns offensive line. And I think come Sunday, if you see some potent numbers out of that running game, then, Browns victory opposite. Right. And I think, the Steelers are going to head home on 279, being very happy with the AFC North win.
Brown's just so decimated by injuries and questionables and doubtfuls and everything else. It's been tough for them this year.
But a great coach.
Yes, he has Stefanski's done a great job. Done a great job. Now, as far as the NFL draft goes, you do some scouting. You know what a lot of these college quarterbacks, these just college athletes in general, football players, you know what they end up turning into. I just want to ask you, before we get into specifics about Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, any of the other guys in this class, what do you think of the quarterback class in general coming into this year in the NFL draft? It's gone all over the place. It was Spencer Rattler at first. He's fallen off. Sam Howell was up there. He's sort of fallen off.
You know, what's funny is I actually had an NFL agent call me earlier. And we haven't spoken in a while, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "I just wanted to pick your mind about these quarterbacks." And I was like, so funny. I go, I got to go on Memphis radio tonight, and we're gonna actually talk quarterbacks. And he started laughing. He goes, "Well, so what do you think?" I said, I go, it's the obvious. We don't have the Joe Burrow, we don't have the Andrew Luck, the Trevor Lawrence caliber guy at this point.
Don't have a Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Last year 5 quarterbacks in the first round. We might have 3. Pickett could be that 4th guy. He should be but you got Malik Willis from Liberty. You got, Matt Corral, Ole Miss. Sam Howell, North Carolina. The whole thing, and even absent of Mitchell Trubisky, if you go back, I think you have to go back to like Natrone Means was the last productive North Carolina offensive player drafted. And that was back in the, I mean, go back and look. If they got that Tar Heels logo on their helmet, don't draft them offensively. They're not going to.
Bo, remember when you tried to talk me off the ledge on Hakeem Nicks, and I was all hot to trot on him, and you were going to slow down on North Carolina guys, Brett.
Yeah. And I love Hakeem, and that's the thing, man. I love the Hakeem Nicks.
I loved him. I had him in the Hall of Fame.
To put it, this is how foolish I am, Brett. If I was a GM of a team right now, and they said, "Hey, you want to sign Hakeem Nicks?" I'll bring him in tomorrow.
I'd work him out tomorrow, but he was a colossal bust. And now I'm sorry to any at Ole Miss that may still like him. I don't trust Sam Howell because Phil Longo has coached him.
I love it. So you got Spencer Rattler who got benched. It's a unique class. And we're almost at the end of this college football season, but bowl games, and then once the All-Star games start to emerge, and these guys really kind of separate themselves, and the combine and private workouts. It's a foundation, it's a building block in all their careers. And if you look at Matt Corral, he wasn't a guy that was on the radar going into this season. Pickett was maybe a top 10, top 15 guy. And if you're even in that realm, you're basically an undraftable quarterback. Mm-hmm. You figure 6 or 7 quarterbacks are going to get drafted. Some guys would go up, some guys come down. So the 2 guys in Corral and Pickett that we're going to talk about, they're kind of coming from the back, the back of the pack. They're coming around the 4th thing down the stretch, and, they're making a run for, first round, top tier, quarterback prospects in this 2022 NFL draft. And, Pickett is your, he's your more traditional pocket passer, 6'3", 220, great arm. And I'm not around Ole Miss, but you could probably, speak more on what Corral brings to the program. But from the time Pickett started as a freshman, everyone loves his energy and his demeanor and his leadership. Even last year, Clemson, when Saturday, every guy that comes up to, every player that just talk about Pickett's leadership. And the thing that I admired about Pickett the most is his fearlessness. It's sometimes a little bit too reckless how competitive he is, because he's ready to take on, Wilbur Marshall and Ray Lewis at the same time to get 1 yard, which is probably not the best idea. But you
just described Corral. Corral will lead with that shoulder. He's a tough guy. He's a leader. One thing I love about him is he gives everybody else credit around him. He'll give the trainers the credit. He'll give the offensive line the credit, the running backs, wide receivers, and then in that one loss to Alabama, he shouldered it all when everybody knew it wasn't all on him. Heck, without him, it'd have been worse.
Yeah, and the thing about I love his arm. I think it would be a little bit more accurate, but I love the arm. But then you think about his legs. That's the other part. He's into the modern quarterback that we look at, and we are in kind of in awe of the Vogue type prospects right now are your Kyler Murrays, your Lamar Jacksons, and you look at Matt Corral. 30 carries a couple weeks ago against Tennessee on 200 yards rushing. I mean, that is unthinkable. To have a quarterback rush, and you don't want him to, but he did it, and he was good at it. And, and then you just think, he has, that the ball just pops. I think, to me, that, he just has such a sizzle off the ball. And like I said, then you add in that athleticism. He's fun to watch. SEC school, so, there's not going to be any pedigree issues, a USC commit. So they wanted the California kid to be the focus of the Trojans offense when he was coming out of this thing. So, he's right there. And as long as he continues to do what he's going to be in the mix come April and when these guys start coming off the board. And like Pickett, he's coming from the backside. Pitt's an odd program. It doesn't have the Ole Miss SEC type pulse. It's Pitt, it's ACC. They're kind of, back of the pack, kind of those teams.
They went into Neyland and won just like Ole Miss did, though. That's a fair.
Yeah.
They did lose to Western Michigan, and Ole Miss lost to Alabama. But Pickett's game against Tennessee and Corral's game against Tennessee, and their seasons are kind of mirror image.
They are, and I think it goes back to two quarterbacks who really weren't perceived to be top tier quarterbacks, and that's what I love about guys and the season where they kind of blossom and everything comes to life, and people start to and everything clicks. And for both these guys, that's what's happening. It's fun to know the Trevor Lawrence, but it's I always get it's fun to see the Trey Lance emerge. It's fun to Baker Mayfield, even though he
Mac
was
Jones.
a Power 5 Mac Jones, all these guys, they emerge, and Cam Newton was that guy, Jameis Winston was that guy, Baker Mayfield, hard to believe, but he was that guy as well. Carson Palmer was that guy. These quarterbacks, they're obviously starting quarterbacks. They're big programs, but in terms of NFL projections going into those seasons. And on the opposite, look at Logan Thomas, Virginia Tech. When he was coming out on the Blestos and National reports, they said that this was the number one quarterback prospect. And lo and behold, his senior year at Virginia Tech, it doesn't go his way. And now he's, I know he's on the IR or he's not playing for Washington right now, but he becomes a tight end. So you just don't know,
a good one.
How it's going to end up. But nonetheless, it does change. And from now, what's today? October 25th, 26th? There is going to be so much more zips and peaks and valleys and zigzags of all these guys in draft projections as we kind of lead up to it. But it's just fun to talk draft in October.
Oh, of course. And Kenny Pickett is interesting to me. And whenever I brought him up to a lot of my friends who cover the draft and everything else, they talk about his age. He's 23. He's going to be 24 before he ever takes a snap in the NFL. How much should that come into consideration with a quarterback prospect age?
Gabe, I think it just comes down to, is he good enough? We can talk about hand size, age, and this. Of course. If Patrick Mahomes was in this draft and he was 25, he's still going number one. So, you know what I mean? So, but that's where that's where you start to separate. Well, we think Matt Corral's a better quarterback. He's younger, but we like Pickett the same, but he's 23. This guy throws a better deep ball. This guy ran a faster 40, or this tackle has a better, broad jump. That's where all these intangibles start to grab and pull you different ways. But, if you have player A and player A, what's going to separate them? It could be age, and every team has different, there are a long list of, things that teams want in certain players. But again, if you believe this guy can, be a quarterback to build your team around, then, 23, to me, that's not.
That's not old by any stretch of the imagination. Brandon Whedon got drafted at 27, and I don't even think he was an overly good quarterback prospect at that time. I think Kenny Pickett is head and shoulders up. And in that Tennessee game,
Brandon Whedon was this generation's Billy Jack Haskins.
But I came out of that Tennessee game watching Kenny Pickett, and just one takeaway: he is a gamer. That's what he
big
is.
Time gamer.
Just a gamer.
Wanted the ball in his hands.
Yes.
If it was basketball, get out of the way, clear out. I'm driving to the bucket.
Specifically, and I want to get to Matt Corral real quick. Specifically, the one thing I notice about Matt Corral, just watching his game, with Lane Kiffin and that RPO they run consistently with the slants coming across the middle, he consistently makes the right read, and it is in and out of his hands quickly.
He throws.
Do you think in the NFL that'll get utilized the way it is in college?
Yeah, I do, and I think you see a lot of it with how Cleveland runs their offense. I think the way that Stefanski uses Baker Mayfield, I think you could say it's sort of similar, to what,
right.
in that comparison. So, I think that's just the evolving NFL is, there used to be such a stereotype, prototypical quarterback, drop pack passer where, but we've seen it. The offenses in the National Football League have changed, and they're more accommodating to these different styles, RPOs, widespread offenses, and it's smart. I mean, if you got a square peg, don't put a circle in it. Put a square in there and be successful. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. And I just think with his athleticism, the arm, granted, where he's at, you'd have to say, a smart team that's going to use him correctly could totally have success with that in the next level.
The best OCs and the best head coaches conform to what their personnel is. And the very average and okay coaches who have a good year here and there try to take these guys and make them into what they aren't, make them into what they want them to be. And I agree with that completely. And I with offense nowadays in the NFL, watching Kyler Murray and thinking about 20 years ago, if we would have seen what Cliff Kingsbury and that Cardinals offense and Kyler Murray is doing right now, we would have lost our minds. We would have. What is this? This is the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And what's a shame is if we saw Kyler Murray, and I'm sure we could all think of college quarterbacks, if there was a Kyler Murray 20 years ago, he probably wouldn't even got drafted because he's too small, doesn't go in the pocket.
Right.
But
exactly.
It's just, but now you see, and he's fun to watch.
Warren Moon almost paid the price for some of those stereotypes.
You're right. Yeah.
But he emerged because he was just so good.
Yep.
Fantastic. I mean, Hall of Fame CFL, Hall of Fame NFL. That's pretty impressive.
It sure is.
He is our friend talking NFL, Bo Marchant from collegepro.com. Thanks, Bo.
Have a great week, gentlemen.
You too. Man. You too. Yeah, it's just the Matt Corral sort of style that he has run in college. I want to see how it translates and how a OC at the NFL level uses those strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a process, and we'll learn it along the way. When we come back on the other side, we're going to switch gears. We're going to get to what's trending, and there's a whole lot today on that list. We've got some Monday Night Football to discuss. Saints go to 4-2. Seahawks drop to 2-5. And also Brian Harsin with some, as we know, Auburn, the university has a vaccination mandate, and the deadline's December 8th. Brian Harsin has not disclosed yet if he has gotten vaccinated or not. We'll discuss that. We'll talk that and more on the other side on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world at sports56whbq.com or on the Sports 56 app.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, I started the first micro distillery in the state of Texas with my dog, Dog Joe, at my side. We're still working with dogs out at the distillery after all these years. Learn more about how dogs are a part of life here at Tito's Handmade Vodka at vodkafordogpeople.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka is made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code BOOST for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code BOOST for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BOOST.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The Big Hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. This is a legit product. The key ingredient is Testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Hey, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text TAP to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Nugenix samples are not available in stores, so text TAP to 321-321 right now. Text TAP to 321-321. That's TAP to 321-321.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Almost home on a Tuesday on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Brian Dacus doing a great job on the ones and twos and producing the program. The listener line, 901-360-8255. Of course, brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. We do have a question here for you, Brett, from Mark, and he's talking about Ole Miss. Who is the bigger threat to Ole Miss, Auburn or A&M, for the rest of the way?
Auburn, and Mark, I'm not talking down to you at all. I think it's simply because that's on the road. A&M will be at home. I think that will be the biggest challenge, and it's the best Bo Nix football that he's played. And Bo Nix, he was the difference in the game last year in Oxford. He was a one-man wrecking ball last year in Oxford. If he doesn't do what he did, especially late in that game, even after the disputed call, Ole Miss beats Auburn last year. But like a lot of games from last year, the Arkansas tough loss in Fayetteville, the LSU tough loss in Baton Rouge, those both have been avenged. Now you got to do that at home. This one, you got to avenge the home loss from last year at Jordan-Hare Saturday night, where I will be with Eli Savoy. Richard Cross is going to be off doing network duties, so Eli jumping in to help us, and it'll be fun. I texted Eli upon the news. He's got to even up his record at Jordan-Hare. He was with us in 2013. Lost a heartbreaker that year, 30-22. Bo Wallace, kind of big frenzied comeback, fell a little short. So Eli's looking forward to being there, and I'm looking forward to being
only 0-1. Okay.
Only 0-1.
Small sample size.
I've only won once there in my time with the Ole Miss crew, because 2015, 2003, and 1999 is it for Ole Miss winning on the Plains. 99 was the revenge game against Tuberville. 2003 was with Eli Manning, and 2015 was with Chad Kelly and Laquan.
And I would tend to agree with you on Auburn or A&M.
So it's not Eli's fault.
Right now, going on the road to Auburn is never going to be an easy
win. It's never easy. I think in Eli Savoy's passion for this, he makes a great case for it with his trips around the SEC. I don't think there's a more engaged, into it, raucous. I know the Gators have them. I know LSU that they have them, the Bama student section. I think the best student section, the loudest, most consistent, on their feet, into the game in a fun way, in a really fun way. It's at Auburn. It's on the Plains. I love going down there. I say it every year, and we're usually there around this time. I think there's a good symmetry for me to be there on Halloween weekend, because the Auburn colors are kind of the colors of Halloween. It's fun to be down there, and it's a great setting. It's where Mayberry meets big time college football. Auburn's a little bitty, toady, bucolic, lovely, the loveliest place on the Plains, loveliest village on the Plains.
Yep, and then they have to keep up with Alabama. So they have their way of trying to do that.
Great point. I've said I think it would be tough to be an Auburn fan for this reason. Auburn, separate and apart from Alabama, most everybody in college football would trade to want to be that, to have that history, to have those Heisman winners.
That's true.
To be in those big bowl games, to have those winning seasons. But 160 miles away sets that colossus.
Yes. It's hard to outdo them. I mean, you can't. You just cannot.
And Auburn puts up the good fight. They do.
Yes. And under Gus Malzahn, was he 3-5 against Bama while he was there? One more than anybody else.
Pretty respectable.
Very respectable. But
Brent
to be fair about
that Auburn voodoo, and it's real. Auburn, they will throw some stuff on you down there.
The problem there, though, for Gus at that with that stat, that's the only thing that you look at and you say, well, he did that well. He beat Bama well. That's about all
you got to do more.
You can say for him. Now, Auburn themselves, though, as far as the football program goes, Brian Harsin, this was interesting because Auburn has their vaccination mandate. I don't know if everybody knew about this, but it goes into effect on December 8th. So we're about a month and some change away from it. And Brian Harsin was asked about if he was going to get the vaccination or not, and he says he absolutely still will not disclose it. And we've already dealt with Nick Rolovich at Washington State getting fired over this, leaving over this, and multiple assistant coaches. So this is what I'll say about it. I guess we'll find out if he's going to get the vaccination or not.
Yeah, I guess we will. Mike Leach kind of up in the air with the same issue. Now, different in both Mississippi and Alabama than the state of Washington is that the governor and the powers that be in the state of Washington a little more onerous, heavy-handed toward Rolovich. The governor of Alabama, is it Kay or Kate? The governor, Mrs. Ivey, the governor of Alabama, Governor Ivey, she has said no biggie to her. She's going, you can do what you want. Now, how's it going to play in the PR, optics, recruiting, safety world? But we know Pullman, Washington, and Starkville, Mississippi, and Auburn, Alabama are uniquely different.
I think, and the question I would have is, how do the fans respond if he doesn't and they have to remove him as the head coach? I don't think even
that'd be catastrophic.
Yes, and that's worst case scenario. But I don't think fans even there would be happy with Brian Harsin. Go and get it if you need to. I mean, if that's what's being required,
lose your career and you make it to the SEC,
dream job. I mean, pure dream job.
Dream job. Great place to coach. Just about everybody that coaches at Auburn wins. Have you noticed that over the last 40 years? It hadn't been many duds as Auburn coach. So you're really going to sacrifice that over something that is proven to help you.
It's Auburn. It's Auburn. I thought Washington State, I thought the Nick Rolovich situation was just blasphemous. But if this happens at Auburn, I don't know what my reaction will be. I will be shocked. I will be
I
amazed.
think we've got a story building at Starkville, and I'm not trying to dig at anybody, but Mike Leach almost with the same aloofness.
And, well, I don't know Brian Harsin on the level that I know. I've seen Mike Leach in the public light. About something like that, it seems like he'd be very stubborn. Like he would do what he wanted to do no matter what the situation.
I just don't think it's time to win the stubborn award, and good Lord knows I can be stubborn, but I
don't like that quality. I don't like that quality. I like coachability. I like people that are willing to sacrifice for others. And I don't think now is the time to be stubborn, especially for college football coaches and what they're dealing with. You've dealt with enough of it. Just try to move past it.
Trying to get your players to do it.
Try to move past it. I don't really understand why. And maybe he got it. Maybe Brian Harsin got it, and he just really does not want to disclose it. But usually, we have learned since the vaccine has been available, when you say you don't want to discuss it, you usually haven't gotten it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like when you say I don't want to tell you who I voted for. Was
no.
Probably the one that lost.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see how that works itself out. But this weekend, we're starting up our Big Ten East craziness. Michigan at Michigan State. It'll be the 5th AP Top 10 matchup in the series. Get this, first since 1964. And
is that right?
Yes. Jim Harbaugh I have this stat, and I thought this was amazing to me, and it doesn't surprise me, but this is wild. Jim Harbaugh, ranked road matchups since he has been the Michigan head coach, 2-8. Top 10 matchups.
I'm not surprised by that.
Top 10 matchups, 0-5. Has not won a single top 10 matchup.
And that's why the Heat's on, and that's why he's got to win. That's why he's got to have
this likely
close out to the season.
This is his probably his best chance to go win one of these, right?
I like this most physical team.
I like this Michigan State team. I don't want anybody to get that confused. But this Michigan State team hasn't played anybody that really leads me to believe that they
not
are
loving it part.
Fantastic. And
you
I
can
like
have that
Peyton
same
Thorne,
argument
and I like
about Michigan
Kenneth
State
Walker.
that you've had about Ole Miss. Make your case for me, Michigan State. Now their big case is a zero, is 0 losses.
Mm-hmm. And Michigan, I'm not there on Cade McNamara, their quarterback. Don't think he's very good. But I think as far as their running game goes, Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum, they're solid, and they're very good up front, and they have a great defense. I'm curious about this one, though. I'm
bigger on Cade McNamara and his ability to work with Harbaugh than I ever was with Shea.
Right, but
and Shea's much more talented.
You get back to stubbornness and thinking you know what you're doing when
run the play we called.
Yeah, be coachable. And Cade McNamara is coachable, but he hasn't done anything this year as far as stats. 5 TDs, 1 interception through all of his games. Just nothing.
That's not much.
Nothing. And the other game this weekend, Penn State travels to Ohio State. Sean Clifford this morning has been announced that it said he was 100%. I don't really know if that's actually what that means. They say he's 100%, but we'll see. Penn State can be a wrecker of all wreckers for the Big Ten.
They can.
They can ruin the party.
They can be the nuclear warhead, but can they? Can they do it? They also could lose a bunch of games the rest of the year. And James Franklin changing agents, James Franklin involved in these other jobs.
What do you think that is? What do you think the agent switch right now is? Is that
just hiring the best?
Okay,
just going out.
He's had athletes first, which is a very good agency for a long time. So right this second, it's just kind of suspect. It means he's going to be doing a lot.
It's a hard time ever to change, though.
Doesn't it tell you that it seems like a lot of flirting is going to be done this offseason? Like more than a lot of flirting.
Well, you look at
you knew it was going to happen.
Look at the 2 jobs you have open, and never mind if you're not primary in those. Just the domino trickle down cause and effect from USC and LSU, and that's if they hire from within college. Now, if they went the pro route, it's not going to be Mike Tomlin. We know that.
Right.
But if they went the pro route, that doesn't change any of the musical chairs. But if it starts with a college trickle-down effect, I threw out, not for those jobs, but just what if Lincoln Riley got interested in an NFL job or another college job?
Who's next?
And you would have all these open at the same time. You're talking premier destination, dream, get there and stay there and win all you can ever imagine places.
Yes, there should be a decent amount of movement.
Miami
this offseason. And Miami, what do they want? And you brought up with Texas Tech. What does Miami want really?
Well, they want the U back, and that's not coming back. That level of dominance is not coming back.
People don't understand this either. Like at Miami, I don't know if they pay their coaches well enough to get a premier coach and keep him for an extended period of time.
Well, they really
pay well, but they haven't. They don't pay.
Really hadn't had the premier guy in a while. But to have that level of winning, and
they're not on the level of SEC though, as far as being able to pay coaches, and that's a problem.
It has hurt them being out of the Orange Bowl stadium. Their fans do not identify with going to the Dolphin Stadium.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of movement,
what if Nebraska opened?
It shouldn't it? I mean, they played better.
Sure could.
They've played better. Virginia Tech ought to be open by the end of the year. I don't know. At Florida State, I think Mike Norvell probably is safe for another year. But there's no promises.
What if the cocktail party turned into a 5-6 touchdown blowout Saturday and Dan Mullen just really showed himself the rest of the year and blew himself out of there, or just showed that he didn't want to be there.
Right. And the seat's getting hotter for him. I don't think it's there yet. I don't think it's there unless he had some big wrongdoing bring itself to the light. I think
he always has the ability to run hot, though.
Mm-hmm. He does, and they just have not been
kind
playing
of
well.
Cantankerous. When I said that when he was at Mississippi State, the text line would fill up. Now they know I'm telling the truth.
I wonder if he's ever going to switch over to Anthony Richardson this year, though.
Better do it Saturday.
He's got to do it.
Man, I'd love to go to the cocktail party.
I feel for Emory Jones in a way. It just never worked out, and he got promised so much going there.
Got promised so much. Showed signs last year in spot duty and limited duty, but Trask was
this year running the ball.
The guy.
This year running the ball, he showed some signs of life. They played relatively well at times, but it just has not worked out for them or Florida as a whole. And Todd Grantham there's no way he can keep his job after this year.
He's got to be sacrificed.
It's got to be. We talked about that with Memphis too. We'll see how all the coaching shuffling goes on in certain programs that have had down years.
The coach at North Carolina State, I think maybe not for USC and LSU, but with the musical chairs, the domino effect, I think he could be in line for a really big job.
He's done okay. He's never been never done anything
Dave Clawson at Wake Forest, same thing.
He's never, Dave Clawson's doing exceptional work though at Wake Forest this year. Has NC State ever done anything to really put you over the edge on Dave Dorn?
Not extraordinary, but just solid.
Yeah, just middle of the pack every year.
But solid didn't win the press conference, does it?
No, and when you're getting those premier jobs, it definitely doesn't. It doesn't do anything for those fans.
You got to do it
media members. But it is what it is. It is what it is. When we come back on the other side, we'll wrap up this edition of Sports Time with Taco Bell Crunch Time right here on Sports 56 98.5.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy. Greg Gaston and I have moved. Instead of Sports 56 middays, we are now Sports 56 mornings. That's right. Join us every morning from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The final winner in Southland's free and easy car giveaway will be announced this Sunday. What? That's right. Southland Casino Racing has got just one more vehicle they're giving away. And after that, it's sayonara. If you want to win, you better go earn you some entries. Heck, 9 other people will win $500 in cash money. What? Be at Southland on Sunday to see if you win.
Next drawing, Sunday, October 31st. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
I got him on the line, Jeff Allen, the king of happy at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Hey folks, need a new ride that gets 41 MPG? 2021 Kia Forte, $249 a month. 2021 Kia Rio S hatchback, 41 MPG, only $258 a month. Plus a 2022 turbocharged Kia Soul, ready for that road trip at $267 a month.
Plus, you'll always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program. Remember, Forte $249, Rio $258, Soul $267. And don't sell your trade till you check with us.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 72 months at 2.9%, $29.99 down payment. Forte, ME 409-215, MSRP 19,335. Rio, ME 427,894, MSRP 19,755. Soul, N 7808-276, MSRP 20,615. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Must finance through Kia on low APR. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/21. Dealer stock only.
Tiger Nation, your 2021 NIT champion Memphis Tigers are back and ready to make a splash in the American Conference. Season tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a minute of the action with the #1 recruiting class and a brand new coaching staff with Hall of Famer Larry Brown and former NBA star Rasheed Wallace. To lock in your seats for all the action and excitement, call 901-678-2331 or visit GoTigersGoTix.com today.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, $2.25. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
I fantasize about this back in Chicago. Mercy, mercy, need that mercy. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye!
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
Looking for something new at Taco Bell? Try the original tacos meets the instant classic, nacho fries. There's bound to be some magic. Nacho fries are essentially building blocks for culinary imagination. Slightly seasoned, go with bold spices. Warm nacho cheese and sour cream, loaded taco fries are covered with seasoned beef, nacho cheese sauce, ranch, tomato, and shredded cheese. In short, the legend of nacho fries lives on.
Brett, what I learned today, it's officially sidestep season. You heard Mike Tomlin. I think that was more of a sidestep. That was a straight-up denial.
Stiff arm.
Yeah, that was more than a sidestep, but we do have a sidestep from good old Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes was asked today about the Texas Tech opening, which he is favored to end up getting. He said, look, we're focused on getting ready for Houston. I'm not ever going to talk about other jobs. I just don't think it's fair to anybody. Look, our guys are excited to play. We're focused to play. We know how big of a game this is for our program, and no one's worried about anything other than playing well on Saturday night. So, yeah, that is the definition of a sidestep. I would imagine that Sonny Dykes pays attention to that Texas Tech opening.
Yeah, he knows it well. His dad was pretty legendary. I learned not many picking the Braves. But a split for the Braves in Houston is all they want. Just win game 1 or game 2, take it to Atlanta, and then try to have some magic. Try for the sweep or 2 out of 3, and then get back to Houston and do the split thing again or better. These two cities are perfect for the World Series, this November-ending World Series. One has a retractable roof. The one's in really nice weather. We could play this World Series up to Christmas.
Let's do it.
Let's
what do you think? How
Best
long of a
15.
series? Best of
I don't even know if that math works.
That's yeah, it would. You'd be all right. 8 and 7. First one.
It's
to 8.
got to be an odd number, doesn't it?
First one to 8. That would be a long.
Best
series.
of 19.
What I could have done without today, Thursday Night Football, we're gonna have a great matchup. Packers at Cardinals, but it may not be as great as we really think. Joe Barry, the DC for the Packers, is out. We know that. Devontae Adams is on the COVID-19 list. He could be out. Now they've added Allen Lazard in the past 15 minutes to the COVID-19 reserve list.
Go away, COVID.
So now it's looking
You remember
like,
Allen Lazard, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Iowa
Called
State.
Everything against y'all.
He was
Everything.
big body, and he's doing pretty well. He's doing his thing in the NFL, and luckily he has Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. But it looks like Aaron Rodgers may be down 2 targets. We'll see how it shakes out. But Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, both on the COVID-19 reserve list.
Gabe, I know I was pretty strong about Ollie Marmol, and I'll stay strong until proven differently. I mean, Skip Schumacher, Stubby Clapp, Mike Schilt, Mike Matheny, pre-med, pre-law. It's kind of all the same thing. The Cardinals can't replace Tony La Russa. That's what's been proved out over the last 10 years. They can't replace Don Tony. And Mo is really stuck on himself. It was a bad list. These are all micro guys. Where's a big name for one of the storied franchises in baseball?
It's a good question. Where is it? I knew as soon as Marmol was hired that I'm not saying I didn't think you would hate it. Or I'm not saying I thought you would hate it, but compared to Buck Showalter, who you thought would
pretty
be
small,
a good name.
Pretty micro.
Completely different. What we're watching for tonight, of course, World Series Game 1. Valdez versus Morton. We also have some NHL. Bryant's Kraken are on the slate tonight.
Maybe they'll actually win a game.
Bryant's on a roll, isn't he? Football picks, Bulls, Kraken.
What can
My
I say?
Blues have yet to lose a game. 10 points. Points leaders in the Western Conference. Gotta love it. NBA tonight.
I'm going to really watch the World Series. I think Joe Buck and John Smoltz are just so good. 3 undefeated NBA teams remain. 2 play tonight, Golden State, Oklahoma City, and Utah host Denver.
Yes, and the other TNT game tonight, Sixers versus Knicks. So
that's a good one at Madison Square Garden.
Should be a very solid slate. But that's all we have for today. Thanks to Brian Moss, Brent Beard, and Bo Marchant. Thanks to you for listening. Tomorrow we'll have Alex Kuhn and Barrett Jones on college football, Chris Gordy on the Astros, and a little bit of SEC. But make sure you have a good night. We'll holler at you tomorrow.
Brian